Hey everybody, welcome back to Hit Point, an anime news show, a niche news show, a JRPG news show, a new show where Baku and I will talk about anything and everything that interests us, the games that we love. We'll be talking about rumors, previewing trailers, talking about
Nope, you fumbled. Nope, that's
oh shoot. Okay. We'll be talking about rumors, previewing trailers, answering questions from the super chats at the end of the episode. We stream live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Baku, how have you been, buddy?
I'm dying. You can kind of hear it from my voice. The allergies kicked in really hard today. I didn't take my allergy meds, so you're gonna hear occasional sniffling and sneezing. I'll try to mute myself as much as I can, but I may have to excuse myself to grab some tissues from time to time. But it's kind of gross. I apologize ahead of time.
That's all right, man. Nature is kicking your butt this week. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's
Uh,
finding new ways to kill me.
yeah. I mean, it always has been, but finding new ways too,
Yeah.
Oh man, what a week! Dude.
Yeah. What a
So,
week.
how have you been? What have you been up to? You've been playing some Like a Dragon Ishin lately, haven't you?
Oh my God, that game is just phenomenal. Like I thought it was I knew it was gonna be good, but
Mm-hmm.
man, like even exceeded my expectation on what I thought would already be a good game. For context, I played the original on PS4, the
Mm-hmm.
one that was not released in the West.
Yeah.
So I have an idea what the game was going to be about, but they have added certain additions. They've changed some characters up. They changed the game engine. They just did a whole bunch of things
Yeah. It's
that
not
that
just a remaster or a port, like you said
no,
before. This
it's
is a
it's a
ground up
remake.
remake. Yeah.
It's a remake, yeah. They do have some issues with the game, particularly the lip movements. It's very strange. But I think they are releasing some patch to fix it in the near future. So hopefully that will be all better.
Hmm.
So funny enough, I sent out a new poll to see what game I should stream next.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't expect this. I was expecting people to want to see things like, I don't know, Trails from Zero, like winning, or like
Mm-hmm.
East, or Final Fantasy Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting those like top hitters. But
Yeah.
no, the number one game, believe it or not, out of like close to 100 people voting was 13 Sentinels.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 1 in 3 people wanted to see 13 Sentinels,
Okay.
which is very surprising to me.
Yeah.
I would have assumed that it would have been, like I said, some of these like crowd favorite like RPGs,
Sure.
but no, it was
Yeah.
13 Sentinel.
They're like, nah, give us that
So
weeb stuff.
yeah, so I guess I'm playing 13 Sentinel. I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
amazing things for 13 Sentinels. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
So that's coming. So yeah, come by and hang out over at twitch.tv/BucksunJRPGs. I'll look forward to seeing you guys come by to hang out. How about you, Derek? What you been up to?
Well, God, all right. For starters, just what I'm streaming right now. We finished up Trails of Cold Steel the other week,
Oh yeah,
or Cold Steel
congrats.
2, that is.
Yeah,
Only
congrats, man.
only took me like 140 hours or so, give or take.
That's
Not too
pretty
shabby.
good. That's pretty good.
And then, as per our agreement and previous discussions, we started Yakuza Like a Dragon. So I am about a fifth of the way through, a quarter of the way through the game at this point. I have four party members at this point in the game. It's fun. It's really interesting. It's been a unique experience, and as far as like JRPGs go,
Hmm.
turn-based RPG mechanics, like it really makes me kind of reevaluate a lot of what those like the what those things represent. Turn-based combat. What is a special move exactly? Like it just kind of recontextualizes a lot of the things that we've already been taking for granted for the longest time when we're talking about
Hmm.
the genre. And so it kind of turns everything on its head in a kind of a cute and weird way. It's almost like Earthbound in a
Hmm.
way, but like, way worse. I mean, not worse, but like way, um, what's the word? fucked up, I think is the better way to put
I've
it.
I've not heard that much profanity come from your stream, and
No.
that's the problem with playing with English dub is
Hmm.
you're going to get all the F bombs, and like
Yeah.
if you play in Japanese, like their vocabulary for cuss words is very limited
Hmm.
compared to English. Like we're
Sure.
way more expressive in our anger. For them, it's just pretty basic stuff like teme and like just sounding
Suh.
rude. Like, oh my God, you're so rude to me. Like we
Hmm.
have actual cuss words that we can bleep out. So that's one issue. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm glad you're liking it though. I'm
Well,
glad
thank
you're
you.
liking it.
And
This is the first time that we're both playing
a
like
Yakuza
the
game,
same
or
series of game at
we
the
might
same
have
time.
we might have been double dipping on Trails at one point.
I don't know. I
Like I
don't
was
think.
probably doing Zero and Azure when you were
Oh,
doing
you know what?
Sky SC or something.
Yes, actually, I lied. You were doing Trails Azure. I was
Yeah.
doing Sky 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was very brief.
It was
But
very brief.
that totally
Flash
did
in the pan.
happen. Yeah,
But
this is different. We're
oh yeah.
both starting like a dragon game, and that's super exciting.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
pretty exciting.
heck yeah.
So that's what I've been doing on Twitch. Here on
Mhm.
YouTube though, it's Kiseki month, which is Trails month. It is just starting where I'm putting out at least one video every week, probably more,
Wow.
talking about specifically geared for the Trails series. And that is one of the reasons I put Sarah Valstein in my most recent video from Trails
Hmm.
of Cold Steel 3 is like, or Cold Steel 1, is because I was like, you know what? Sarah, she's an anime character, or not of anime. She's an RPG character from the genre that we're discussing. So I'll slip her in the thumbnail as well. And anyways, that was funny. We'll talk about that video that I put out today a little bit later on because we will have a
Yes.
discussion about it to a degree.
Oh, we
Um,
certainly will.
a little bit of a
We
discussion, yeah,
certainly will. Yeah.
and hopefully just some clarification about what was actually said because
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of people hearing what they want to hear or
Cherry picking.
yeah.
We're
So
gonna give you the facts because we're all about giving facts.
yeah, the hard hitting facts.
Hard-hitting facts and then opinions.
Sure.
Facts first and then opinions.
All right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, before we do, we should dive into some of the comments that we got from last week. And I'll
Yes.
go ahead and start with this one here that came from commentor None Ya Business. Okay, that was a little bit of a. It was actually none of your business. Who stated, starting with the worst game in a series doesn't make sense as it may drive a person away from a series that may never get to the good ones.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
Mhm.
I think I was kind of mostly being facetious when I said to start with the worst in a series, but also it does kind of make sense if you've already decided that you're going to play them all
Yeah.
in order, or play them all in the series, and you're like, yeah, you're gonna play them all. If you've already made that determination, then maybe start with the worst because then each one just gets better from there. Like you have something to look forward to all the time, as opposed to like I don't know, saving the worst for last and you like play through the series and then you don't go out with a bang, if you
You don't want to end on a sour note.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
And also, I've tried that, right? So, speaking of the Yakuza series, I started with Zero, which to this day I still think is one of the best, if not the best. Then I went into Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2,
Mhm.
then Yakuza 3, which is not a remake, but a remaster. And like the quality just like plummets from Kiwami 2 and then just goes straight
Yep.
down. So
Mhm.
I didn't play the worst one, but that drop in quality was like enough to like seriously make me consider dropping the whole thing altogether. So I get it. Like you want to play the good ones to get them to the series, but people can drop out of the series just as easily, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, don't think just because one good game is there's enough holding power. But also to your point, Derek, the context to which we say start with the worst one was given that you are going to play the entire series. That
And
was the context. Yeah.
and that they
So
weren't like chronologically in the same universe.
correct.
Like
Yeah.
we were talking about Breath of Fire series at the time. I think when I mentioned that. It's a very, very niche time that you'll want to play from worst to best, I think. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
It,
not
it,
for like introducing your friends to Trails or something.
that is to say that it was a pretty nuanced like discussion and not necessarily like just a broad stroke recommendation for anyone and everyone in every situation. So
Yeah.
just want to throw that out as a clarification, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Alan Watty, who says, just got email from PlayAsia saying Pixel Remastered not getting a PS4 physical release.
Yeah.
Yikes. Is that what happened? I'm sorry, because I didn't see any news on this, but I have seen a couple of people talk about it. And also I didn't personally, purchase either of the versions. I have no idea. What's going on, Derek? Is that what's
Okay.
going on?
So what
Yeah.
happened was initially
Hmm.
when PlayAsia put up the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection up for pre-order,
Hmm.
they put it up for like $75, and they had options available uh for PlayStation 4 as well as options for Switch.
Hmm.
Then turns out that they had to take down the PS4 ones because I guess they got confirmation that it's actually in fact not coming to PS4. I don't know
Ooh.
exactly, but that's got to burn for anybody who tried to get in on that for PS4. But
Uh,
yeah, but right now the Switch version is still up for pre-order.
mhm.
And since then, since the initial going out, they did raise the price by another like $5 from like 75 to 80,
Mhm.
which is still a better deal. Like because especially if you like get another game or something, because I think orders over $100 have free shipping.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
so if you got like something else that you needed, like Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 7 and 8 combo or
Mhm.
something like that, or the Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 combo, they have lots of games that are physical that never came out in the West physically in English.
Mm.
So in that context, it's still probably a better deal than what we were
Mhm.
getting from Square Enix, because Square Enix was also going to charge you like $20 for shipping anyway.
Ah, God, yeah. Square Enix shipping is just like atrocious. Like, where are you shipping from that requires it to be $20, like, no matter where I am? It's
The
just,
president of Square Enix himself was going to hand deliver it to your mailbox, Baku.
I mean, basic, and considering what we're going to talk about later today, that might very well be his new job. Mm.
Hmm. Might just be.
It might just be. We'll talk about the Square Enix president later. We got one more
Hmm.
comment, Mr. Derek.
Yeah. Okay. And he says it's a MNC Llama who says, Legend of Super Derek trails through March. Yep, that's basically what March is. March is, for me at least, Kiseki month, and I'm thinking it might be gosh, if I could make this an annual thing, that'd be pretty rad. But
That'd be
then I'd
pretty
have to
rad.
stop playing Trails during other times of the month, so I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
I've committed June to playing Persona for Mr. Invalid, so I'm kind of stuck with it
That's
now.
impressive. That's the pretty cool thing about being JRPG enthusiasts, Baku and I. Whenever we want to turn something into whatever month, we just play a game in the series, and it takes us the
Yeah,
entire
that
month.
that will be the month. That is true. That is true. Sometimes longer than a month.
God,
You
I
heard
know.
me. I said stuck. Did I stutter? I might be sniffling, but I did not stutter. Which, by the way, that brings me to want to comment that there were many other suggestions for what Derek should call this
Oh,
month
that's
for
right.
trails.
That
Yeah, so
was a
there
question I
were a
posed.
couple. Yeah, it's just I didn't want to like post all of them. So they're all there from the last video. So I highly recommend you all taking a look to see what kind of creative genius fellow viewers were able to come up with. Thank
I'm
you so
sure
much for all
they're
the wonderful
incredible.
ideas. Yeah.
All right, so we have a bunch of well, not a bunch. We have a voicemail. By the way, you know how I mentioned a while back how we had that pile up of voicemails that were emailed in that I never noticed
Yeah.
that I swept up out of the corner. Okay, this is the
Right.
last of them, and then
Oh.
after that, we don't have any more that are pending currently. So,
Mhm.
if anybody has any other voicemails that they would like to leave for us, they can do so using our phone number at 785-337-3805, or you could also just send it to me via email at hitpoint at superderekrpgs with an s.com, and we'll play it on the air. So yeah, make sure you do that if you're
Oh,
interested. But otherwise, we have this one here from viewer Sergey.
Super Derek, my name is Sergey. I'm from Russia, Vladivostok. That's not far from Tokyo. I've been listening to your podcast since the first episode, and I've been watching Derek for several years already. So my
wow.
question is, have you ever tried to play some series on schedule? For example, complete one game per year from some series. For example, I've decided to do so with Yakuza series since
Oh,
PS2, and every summer I try to complete at least one part. So I've completed all parts excluding spin-offs. Thank you.
Awesome. Great question there, Sergey. So thank you for that voicemail. Greetings to Russia. And also, yeah, I've tried doing like various themed months of like games that I've been playing through, and I think that kind of ties into that a little bit. Like a while back I did marathons of like the Dragon Warrior games, and I just like I want to play them all, and I never ended up sticking to any of them really long term though, you know.
yeah, it's really hard. I mean, are there even enough games for us to do that with?
Well, I mean, I a couple years ago, a few years ago, I had a thing where I would do the Summer of Suikoden, and that was that was twice annual. But then I ran out of Suikoden games to do over the course of summer, so I'm thinking about bringing it back though.
Hmm.
I think that'd be pretty cool because if I can get my 3DS finished getting modded, I could play Tear Cries, and
Hmm.
there's obviously the Eiyuden Chronicle games. Well, the first one is already out. Eiyuden Chronicle. Oh God, what was the I can't remember what it's called anymore. But the action one, and then they have the 100 Heroes, right?
Mhm. Oh,
So
Rising?
Rising,
Yes.
yes, that was it. So yeah, that maybe I feel like with and with the Suikoden remasters coming out at some point, maybe Summer of Suikoden can make a return. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Hmm. That would be pretty cool. As for me, I think the only game that I try to play once a year is Final Fantasy V for Forza Fiesta, and that's only because that is a charity event.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so that's the only game that like keeps coming back every year. I just try to. Last year I couldn't do it, but I did it for like 7 years, like consecutive before then. So I might do that again this year. But I think that's about it. I
You do also have
typically.
another, like, I would call it less of like an attempt to like play a specific game, but more of like a tradition, an annual tradition of Spooptober, you know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
And there's a
every.
few series that come up around that time, I think, usually.
Yeah, like Resident Evil, because they keep coming out with new ones, and that, like for example, they got Resident Evil 4 coming.
Uh-huh.
They got the first person view of Resident Evil 8. So I'm just like, okay, now I've got two options I can
Sure.
play, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, I am definitely not short of games in that category. I am playing a lot of Trails game, trying to catch up to all this. So there's at least one per year right now, trying
And
to finally finish. I mean, not finish, trying to get to like all this hype with Cold Steel and stuff.
yeah. And what's the name of that other game series that you've played a couple years in a row? It features the girl with a flashlight top down. It's kind of like
Oh,
beautiful art.
Yomawari. It
Oh
is,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's another horror title that Derek definitely would love to play.
I'm sure I would.
Mm.
Um, Corpse Party. I played a couple Corpse Party games
Corpse Party,
for
yes.
Halloween a few years. I need to make a
How
return to that at some point though.
how did you
Maybe
like Corpse Party?
maybe this year I can return to Corpse Party. That'd be pretty fun. But
Yeah, we can talk more about that one. That there's like one good game, and the rest of them I don't know if I could recommend. They're like they're like they're
yeah.
okay. Like if
Well,
you're a big fan, then sure. But I think
yeah. Some of them.
yeah.
My God, did you know? You know what? I'm never mind. There are some aspects of Corpse Party I don't even want to talk about because
Uh,
they're
like Course
uh,
Party, the main game, like the base game,
oh
the
yeah, it's
remake,
great.
awesome. A lot of the newer ones and the spin-offs, like, it's okay.
Yeah. The one where
Yeah.
it's like you play as like it's like Sakachiko's birthday or whatever. It's like, oh, I
Oh,
don't know
geez,
about
no,
that.
no, no,
No.
no. I bought it.
Yeah.
I played it for. I played
No.
it for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, I cannot.
No.
This is, you've got to be the biggest fan for you to sit there and laugh at this. I'm just like, I cannot. This is like really bad anime writing, and just I couldn't.
Yeah.
So
Jeez. Well,
yeah.
hey,
So there
we
you
should
go,
probably move
Sergey.
along and start covering some of the news topics here. So,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
Sergey, for the voicemail. And again, anybody who has any questions or any voicemails that you'd like to leave for us, you may do so again at our voicemail line 785-337-3805, and we'll be sure to hit you up. We'll play it on the air next week, or Super Dare or Hit Point at superdarkrpgs.com.
There you
So
go.
we
All
have.
right, let's talk about some updates to past releases. So these
Mhm.
are all updates and DLCs and expansion news for games that are already out and available. And the first one that we're going to start with is Battlefield Chronicle. There is a free DLC that we've talked about maybe like 2 months or so ago. We said, oh, yeah, there's going to be a new DLC. And it actually came out today on the 5th. So I've read. I'm sorry I didn't have time to go on to like PSN and stuff to do a confirmation, but
Mhm.
it's been said that it's released today. And if not, then it will be in March. So just hold on. It'll come out soon. So what exactly do we have in here? Well, there is a new scenario that is free called the Walter Quinn story. There is a new, very hard difficulty. There is a new weapon type called the Magic Tomb, and also an extra mode uh, difficulty for the new Game Plus game. So, pretty cool stuff that they're releasing, and it's all for free.
Mm.
So, can't really get mad at that.
Yeah, free is
Um,
free.
Free is free, yeah. So just extra things that you can just have now. It would have been nice if it's like on the cartridge. We've talked about it, but maybe it's like an afterthought, right? But regardless, it's free, so it's coming. So again, yeah, we are in March right now. Yes, absolutely. And again, if it didn't come out today, it's just gonna be sometime this month. So very, very soon.
All right, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yes.
Next up, we've got an update for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet from the Pokemon
Yes.
Company. They've announced a new expansion DLC called Treasure of Area Zero. During the they announced it during the 27th of February's Pokemon Presents. Part 1, called the Teal Mask, is coming in fall of 2023. Part 2, called the Indigo Mask, is coming in winter of 2023. Everybody who
Sorry,
pre-ordered.
that's the Indigo disc, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yes.
Indigo Disc. Thank you.
Yes.
People who pre-ordered the game or these who pre-order these expansions rather will get a new uniform set of outfits of avatars, or for
Yeah, that's
avatars
right.
rather. Yeah. So make sure you check that out if that's something that you're interested in, and if not, don't.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest JRPG by volume, we
Yeah.
kind of talk about it. We
Yeah,
have no
that's true.
choice. We have no choice. Are we really a JRPG news show? We don't tell you about Pokemon. Think about that. Actually, I tried to read into it. I have no idea what they're talking about. They were like, so apparently there are like two like paradox Pokemon that's coming, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what the heck is a paradox Pokemon? But look, don't say I didn't say anything. There are two paradox Pokemon coming. I think they're like kind of like a legendary, but like not. But also, yeah, I have
A
no idea.
legendary, but not.
I
That
I
sounds like a
am
paradox for
too
sure.
I'm too much of a boomer at this point
I know.
to understand the
Well,
new Pokemon.
I think it's just you and I are pretty stereotypical Gen Oneers, I think at this point,
That is correct.
as we would be called in the Pokemon circles. Actually, I'd probably be more of a Gen Twoer personally. Maybe even no, never mind. Gen Twoer. I think that's
I'm
right.
one and two. I'm
Yeah,
one and two. I like gold and silver, and especially how you can like go back and travel to Kanto. That
yeah.
is like super cool. I was like, what?
I
They
know.
fit the entire Kanto in the same like game. How did they do
Yeah,
that?
it's
I
so
thought they
cool.
ran out of memory for the first game. How did you do it for the second game?
Well, Iwata saved him.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. If only Iwata could have saved Scarlet and Violet.
If only. If only. All right. So we've got one more piece of news regarding games that's already available and just expansions slash DLCs coming. Bandai Namco also announced an upcoming paid expansion for their critically acclaimed game, Elden Ring. The expansion is called Shadow of the Erd Tree. I think that's how it's
It
pronounced.
sounds
Erd
correct.
Tree?
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Um, there are no additional information like prices and release windows and regions and all that fun stuff. Just like a screenshot kind of thing that with the tweet. But hey, it's still exciting for all the Elden Ring fans, and there are a lot of you out there.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
I
game
really
is
wanted to.
gorgeous.
I want to dive into it at some point. The Elden Ring game. I mean,
I,
I've played Souls, Dark Souls 1
Mhm.
and 2, skipped 3. Haven't really played a whole lot of like. Man, I
I
just need
thought
to
three
try
was
it.
supposed to be pretty good. I don't know.
I've heard that it was.
Yeah,
I mean, they all are really. It's just
and
uh,
Bloodborne.
no, that one turned me off. It was a little
Oh,
too,
really?
yeah, a little too horror-ish.
But you like horror.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
You like horror games. Yeah, no, I tried the Elden Ring for a little bit when I was doing a charity stream, and the game plays really well. It's super
Yeah.
smooth, and it's just as hard as you imagine it. So at some point I'll get back to it too. But yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move the section along here from DLCs to some upcoming releases that we're going to be
Yes.
seeing this week.
Yes.
So the first one here is actually going to be my favorite genre, according to Baku, which is Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse Remaster. This remastered version of my favorite Wii game of all time, Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, is coming out on the 9th of the month.
Mhm.
It's coming out on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Sweet. That means I can play it.
Oh yeah.
Xbox One, Xbox Series X, S, Switch. Oh, I could play that too. PC
That's
via
right.
Steam as well. And we have a brand new trailer for it that we get to
A
watch.
trailer.
I I know. At first it was kind of funny
Shut
because
the front door.
I know, man. I was like, Baku, do we only have like 5 trailers? And he's like, no, we have this one. Oh, I tried to skip it accidentally. How did that happen? Anyways, let's take a look at this trailer of my favorite video game of all time.
Yes, please.
Oh gosh, loud. There we go.
Look at that. Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. Oh, not scared at all.
Oh,
Just started.
surprise hickey from a ghost.
So yeah, I think that this is the story trailer that gives you like a little bit an idea of like
Mhm.
what you're looking at.
It's basically like
Absolutely.
Pokemon Snap, but for ghosts, right?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's great. You use the camera to fight ghosts, and whoever thought of that idea was freaking genius. I think Fatal Frame like as a concept is pretty cool. I've actually never played Fatal Frame. Despite, my love for horror games and also the weakness of it all. I just like never got into it for one reason or another.
You know what? I joke a lot about how much, I don't really love horror games, but honestly, these look super cool and also like pretty niche. So the fact that they're getting remade and remastered and brought to more audiences is really exciting. Like I'm just happy for these horror fans, despite the fact that watching the trailers is probably going to ruin my sleep for the next couple days. You know, just it's just one of those things.
Derek's doing it for all of you.
Oh, listen to that upbeat like J-pop. Can I say J-pop? J-pop.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Listen to that.
I can't really tell what it is.
Oh. Well, I'm just saying it's just so nice and upbeat and uplifting.
Yep. Oh yeah. Definitely gonna try not to get a content strike on that one.
Oh yeah, you're right. I should probably not have that turned up at all.
I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, I was legitimately just like, oh hey, we have music.
Yeah, J-pop, cool.
Yeah.
Also, early purchase bonuses, from Dead or Alive. Oh, because that won't break immersion at all.
Yeah, why not?
I've always find cosmetic costume really funny for games. Like I would never use it. I'm glad they're there to like supplement like the game's like cost perhaps with these items. But I never understand it because I'm just like I'm playing the game like vanilla. Like I want to see the game.
I want to see it as it was intended or as it was envisioned.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then so you get all these like weird DLCs in there, and like I personally don't understand it, but I know a lot of people just like dressing up their favorite characters, and I'm not mad at it. But yeah, it's not for me. But I'm glad the option is there if you want to. So cool stuff.
I was playing through Cold Steel 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 4 version, which includes all of the DLC, that was included with the original, or that was available for like PS3 and stuff. And so there was a lot of costumes, and in the end of Cold Steel 2, I finally broke down and started using some of them. And it was actually kind of fun, it was kind of neat.
It's like you're fighting this like serious battle, and like all the people are just in swimsuits.
Oh, I didn't do that. They weren't in like gag costumes. I think in Cold Steel 1 they had like towels like bath towels you could have them like wearing. That would have been kind of funny. But in this one, it was just like other alternate casual wear that was kind of nice.
It's the worst when you have like a super emotional scene.
Oh,
like someone's dying your arm and you in like a bath towel.
Sean! All right. So that is again coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series XS, Switch, and PC via Steam. So make sure you check that out if you're interested in horror games.
Very nice. Well, you know what else is coming out? Also on the 9th is Square Enix's newest supernatural mystery game. That is to say, it's another horror game called Paranormal Sight: The Seven Mysteries of Honjo. This game is coming out on the Switch and PC via Steam. This game was just announced, more or less, over the Nintendo Direct. And here we are already. It's either time flies really quickly or they just like waited until basically the last minute to like talk about this game. So this game is
I'm having a hard time remembering it actually. What's this one about?
Well, if you see the trailer, it might jog your memory. But let's go over the flavor, well, not the flavor text, the advertising text that they have kindly written together, so I can give some context to this game. The tale is set in the late 20th century and takes place in the Sumida ward of Tokyo, Japan. This area is home to a number of real-world supernatural urban myths known as the Seven Mysteries of Honjo and the seemingly related rite of resurrection. So, I think you can see it. The synopsis. Thank you, Victoria. There you go. When I get too lazy to write it myself, I'm just like, okay, here you go. This is what they said about the game. I
forgive you, man. You're struggling. Like your body is fighting yourself right now. Okay.
I am struggling to breathe right now. Please.
Do you want to take a look at the trailer real quick? And
yes, please. Let's take a look at the trailer.
See what else they got for us here.
So this game is actually relatively inexpensive. It was like $16, I think. So it's not like a crazy big release. In fact, they haven't even really talked about this game because the Nintendo Direct was like the Japanese Nintendo Direct.
It's actually not ringing any bells.
This is not the American uh, Nintendo Direct. It's that day
Oh,
when we talked about the Nintendo Direct, and they were like, "Oh yeah,
yeah.
there are two games that they didn't talk about. This is one of them.
Oh God,
The
that's
other
a
one
really short
being
trailer.
El Atelier Marie."
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean, the game's $15, so they probably don't have a whole lot of budget to make
Yeah,
trailers for it.
there's that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
But I think, certain kinds of fans who are into mysteries and these kind of like visual novels, like if you're like a Danganronpa fan or like a Zero Escape fan, like you're into that sort of games, this might not be a bad title to just like, snack on, if you will.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. We'll see what Square Enix does with these because I always feel like they're trying to branch out of making RPGs only. Like they want to try different things, and
But then they
if they
sell off all of the companies that they own that made stuff other than them. So I don't know. I don't know about that.
yeah. Yeah, about that. But I mean, they have made that one other mystery game with like
Oh, that's
real
right.
people. Yeah, so they've tried stuff like that, and like I feel like I encourage them on like an innovative level. Like you want to try different things. Maybe they learn something about these kind of writing that they can then incorporate back into like their RPGs, right?
Hmm.
Like this is kind of like an experiment time for them. I encourage it, and the game is like less than $20.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an experiment for everyone. I'm not mad at it.
Oh yeah.
Uh Yet, especially if they're trying to like nurture new talents coming in, maybe they're just trying to give them small projects so that they can put something out there and see if they can demonstrate themselves, right? I
Yeah.
don't know, but it just seems like a pretty good idea for a large company like them to try new things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's. I mean,
there you
hey.
go.
Yeah. That's awesome. There's another game coming out this week that we need to talk about, and it is Mato Anomaly. It's Mato
All
Anomalies.
three of them are like kind of horror.
So this is from
Mm.
Eroiz and Prime Matter.
Mhm.
This is another title that we've been keeping our eyes on for a while now.
Mhm.
The new turn-based RPG with detective elements, Mato Anomalies, is coming out on the 10th of this month for PS4, 5, Xbox One, Series XS, Switch, and PC via Steam. And we have a trailer for it as well,
Yes.
which is good because I keep forgetting. We've talked about this several times, and for
We
some
have.
reason, I keep on forgetting exactly what it is about.
So there are two main characters that you'll play as. One's name is Doe, and the other's name is, so this is Doe.
Yeah.
Doe is the detective, and you have to basically run around the city called Mato.
Yeah.
Mato is the futuristic old Shanghai, which is kind of weird, right? But just imagine like old Shanghai style buildings and whatnot, but then like also futuristic elements, and it's kind of steampunky, maybe. I don't know. Like actually,
Kind of
maybe
noir.
steampunk's not. Yeah, noir. There you go. Not steampunk. It's like noir. Yeah. So there's that whole like detective element just now that you saw. And then now we see the second protagonist, which is
Yeah.
name is Graham. Graham is an exorcist, and so during the turn-based battles, you'll play as Graham and like other characters in the party.
Yeah.
So the game basically breaks down into two parts. The part with Doe in the city investigating and doing these like mini games kind of thing. Like, it's more unique, so it's hard to just like, throw a term at it for you to understand. You'd have to see it. But Graham's is a lot more straightforward, which is the turn-based RPG element. So,
Yeah.
very traditional, like menu-based, turn-based. And so it looks really cool.
Like I keep seeing the
Yeah.
art. Like I know it's the weirdest thing. I've seen the key art where it's got Graham on it, he looks super kind of cool, but I keep looking at it. I'm like, what is that again? Do I like that? And every time I think we watch the trailer and something, I get excited about it and then I promptly forget about it. And I feel I don't know what it is. It's something
Yeah.
my brain is just not working good these days, I guess. But
There are just too many things coming out.
there
you
really
know?
are. There are
Like,
so many things to get excited about. And unless it's like appealing to my boomer sensibilities of being like HD 2D 16 or 32-bit RPGs, something like that. It's like, whatever. But then I see like the shiny like 2D pixel art game. I'm like, You gotta-
I thought you'd like the cell shaded stuff like this.
oh, I do like it too. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. That's the other thing
Mhm.
I like. But that's also like it's all blue. Maybe that's
Mm.
it. Maybe I just want more color. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I've watched some like previews from the demo, which I think is out there now because I saw some previews and people say like, it's got this like gray and this dull color, but it kind of works with the mood
yeah,
because it's kind of like like a kind of slum-ish like kind of area.
yeah.
So if people are not exactly running around like happy, like
Oh, of
they're
course,
pretty
it makes
sad and
total
depressed.
sense. Like based on
So
what I'm
kind of
saying
cool.
here, totally
Yeah.
makes sense. But I think there's something about like bright and colorful and shiny that like just distracts my little monkey brain.
That's where the neon light comes in. You gotta
Oh, you're
stare at the
right.
neon lights. Yeah.
That's. I think you're right. That's what I need to do.
Yeah. So that game probably looks the coolest out of a lot of the games that are coming out soon. So I'm actually really looking forward to trying that out. And for all you wonderful folks who keep saying that there aren't enough turn-based RPGs, that was turn-based. So
Yeah.
maybe give that a shot.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right.
No, I think that tidies up everything that we have to talk about that's coming out this week. So let's go
Yes.
ahead and talk about some games that were kind of announced and some new announcements about some upcoming games.
Heck
So,
yeah.
You want to kick us off
So-
with this one?
Starting off with the game that's definitely not turn-based, Trinity Trigger. So Exceed Games and Marvelous Europe just gave us the release date for this 90s nostalgia RPG. And that is actually going to be April 25th for North America, but May 16th for Europe. Did you catch that? It's like a weird, like,
Like a month difference. Well, not quite a month.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
So very strange. But again, April 25th for North America, May 16th for the EU. And we do have an English trailer. So that if you
Oh.
want to hear the English voice acting, now we're going to have a chance to do that.
Okay, let's give it a listen.
Let's go.
Oh, we can watch it too, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Cyan, you know about the gods of order and chaos, don't you?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Your eye bears a crest called the Chaos Emblem. It means you've been chosen to fight for the gods.
That ain't bad.
We can't get cold feet now. Let's power through.
If I want to regain my memories, then I have no choice but to follow you.
Is that Morgana?
Could never ignore someone in
Possibly.
Not you.
here. Luckily for us, I've got a plan.
Is that Morgana? Just kidding.
Possibly.
What can I say?
Morgana, the voice actor for Morgana actually just voiced all the
We
characters.
must remain ever vigilant.
It's a one-person show.
It's all of her.
Relax.
It's all her.
Handle whatever comes our way.
I think a professional voice
prolific.
actor can do it,
Yeah, what a prolific voice actress.
If you
right?
start feeling over-prepared, then you haven't actually prepared enough.
You're no ordinary
Oh man, man, I loved my time with the demo. I know you had some criticisms of it.
Yeah. I mean, nothing they can't fix per se.
Well,
but
it's too late now. Whatever we get, probably if we get a demo, it's probably too late because it's been out.
Well.
I think it's out in Japan now already, right?
It's been out in Japan, yeah, I think so.
Been out for a bit.
I
Yeah,
shall
so-
bring an end to the divine war.
It's all
Oh,
right.
look,
Fine.
there's your hidden
If you wanna
character.
fight, then bring it.
Oh yeah.
And like how they slowly runs up to each other to do a
Stop,
climatic
and then
clash.
swing. Yeah, it's not a triple A game or
It's not.
anything, but it's not. I enjoyed the combat of it. It felt kind of Mana-esque, I think that's kind of what they were going for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, they just say 90s nostalgia RPG. So, the look and feel, the functions, a lot of that is going to come from the 90s. What I'm really hoping is that they don't take like, oh, this is just the 90s and use that as an excuse to not try to implement things that more quality of life stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, there are definitely things that we was in the 90s, but we really didn't like it, right? Like slow load time is the 90s, but you know, you don't need to bring that back to bring the nostalgia. Just bring us the good stuff, right? So,
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, let's also be real. This is who's bringing this to fruition? Who made this? It's being published by Xseed, I think, and Marvelous, but who's
Xseed
the
and Marvelous, yeah.
developer?
A relatively new company, but
so they-
has a bunch of veterans working on this game. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing.
Three Rings Design. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's who's done it. So it might just be one of those things where it's, you know, a budget constraint, you know.
Yeah,
Could be.
absolutely. Yeah, I think like the aesthetics and like maybe some of the gameplay systems would definitely be great nostalgia hits. Like that ring system is just purely
Yes, that's right. I forgot they
right. They got the
wholesale
ring system.
borrowed that straight from Mana.
borrowed, borrowed.
Yeah, borrowed. They'll give it back, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll return it one day. Yeah, there you go. That's what's coming. So,
All right. Did you talk about the dates that they're coming out? Oh yes, yes you
yeah,
did.
I
That's right.
did.
Because
but
because Europe has to wait an extra 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
Okay. Well, we have another game that was announced here from the developer Hello Penguin Team. This is another gorgeous, fast-paced Metroidvania title where the player will follow the story of Vernal as she travels a mysterious series of floating islands to find her estranged father in the game Vernal Edge.
Vernal Edge
Vernal Edge.
sounds very edgy.
Well, let's take a look at Vernal Edge here because we got a trailer for it too.
Let's do it.
When I was in kindergarten, I had a babysitter. Her name was Verna.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's so whenever I hear the name Vernal or Verna,
Does it
It's,
remind you
uh,
of her?
oh look at
look
that!
at that.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa, that was.
Airships.
I mean, not just airship. That looked a little like Skies of Arcadia-ish, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, it certainly does. Yeah.
I mean, outside of the airship, no, not so much.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. Look at that pixel art.
I saw this and I'm like, okay, we have to talk about this. This game looks phenomenal and it's super fluid and it reminds me a lot of Mega Man was it ZX or XZ? I forgot which one it was. But it's basically like a Game Boy Advance title. I think it was Game Boy Advance. It's either no, sorry, it's the Game Boy DS. It's the regular DS title.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And the way that the characters move and whatnot just kind of reminds me of that. But definitely has its own flavor and flair as well. So,
Dude, that
which
looks
I respect.
really good.
Yeah. You can do these like air combos. Like you have to be able to combo your enemies. Apparently, it's like a
That's a
requirement
mechanic.
to do well. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even like Metroidvanias, but this has me like
That looks
I'm
good.
interested. That
That
looks
looks
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
That looks too good to be a Metroidvania.
Uh,
I'm just kidding. Actually, it's weird how good, like consistently good Metroidvania games look these days. Like
yeah.
whenever they do pixel art, it's just like every time it's always so good. Man,
That's right.
it's a steep competition for like the new Metroidvania games.
Yeah. There are a lot. I mean, there are a couple that we've shown like in even the last like 2-3 shows that are just absolutely gorgeous arts and everything. So it's definitely tough competition out there.
Yeah, let me see. I wonder, do you know if Vernal Edge is going to get a physical release or not? Has that been announced?
I don't
I'm trying to do a quick search here. Someone in the chat
know.
is asking.
A
would
lot
be-
of these indie games typically don't have a physical
But sometimes they
release.
do, and sometimes, especially when they look really cool like this, like they sometimes have incredible ones. Like God, what was it? Oh, I can't remember Crimson something.
Yeah, I don't think they have a physical. I'm looking at the Kickstarter and all the
Okay.
games they just talk about. What
Well,
is it called? Digital copy. They have like physical shirts, physical posters, physical,
yeah.
something or another.
It's a huge ask to have to have indie developers commit to making physical releases. I totally get it. And
Yeah.
it's like you can't just like make them to order. You can't be like, "All right, we'll take orders for like 150 copies of the game and then, and then we'll
Yeah.
sell 'em." Like unless it sucks, but man, I wish every game could have a physical release, but we'll see. Maybe limited run will do it or something. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we're like the biggest like physical copy like what's a good word for us?
Hoarder? Yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like something along the lines of like advocator
Oh,
of
sure,
physical copies.
I mean, if you want to
can
dress it up a little
see.
bit, sure, that's fine.
But also hoarder. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
was like, that's fair.
But otherwise, anyways, you can get this game officially on the 14th of the month. It's coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Series X, S, and Switch, and PC. So make sure that you keep an eye out on those. And, I suppose that if the game sells well, there's probably a chance that they'll get a physical release somewhere. So, yeah.
That is true, because publishers can always pick it up and be like, "Hey, this did really well. Do you want to try for a physical copy, like physical release, or maybe
Mhm.
their next game will be they'll be able to get physical once they get their name out there." So you never know.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of physical release, this is a game that I need to talk about, and this game is called Akiba's Trip Undead and Undressed Director's Cut. So we did talk about this before.
Physical release.
Yeah, but there's the physical release that we kind of want to talk about. So Exceeding is Acquired just announced the director's cut will be available in the West this summer. Previously, they had announced it, but they never gave us like a time frame. But now we do. It's coming out this summer. The director's cut will basically include the base game, but also something that's new, which is called Katie's Route. That has been notably absent from the original games released 10 years ago, which is like the cool part. So there are all these like, main characters, right? And all of them have like a route, except for one, for whatever reason, they just like never included her route. And that's got a lot of fans puzzling like over the years. It's like, how come she never got her own route? It's just
Yeah.
very bizarre. But now she does 10 years later, which is pretty cool. Now, I see that someone in chat says that they own the original game. Well, do I need to buy this director's cut in order to get this route? No, you don't. In fact, you can just get the standalone DLC for Katie's Route if you already own the base game for PS4 and PC.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And at release, whenever that happens during the summer, there will be a limited physical day one edition for the Switch. So again, speaking of physical edition, pre-orders will begin soon in different retailers and also in Exceed Games game store. So do you want to
Cool.
take a look at that trailer?
Oh, I suppose so. Let's see what I can
Let's
do.
remind ourselves what this game is about.
I'm back.
I just loved your segue into this game.
This is Katie.
Oh, will
Yeah.
you accompany me
Speaking
for a
of physical
patrol?
release,
She was the best girl in the original game, and I was really upset that she didn't get her own route. But now she
When-
has her own route and backstories
when
and
you
everything.
refer to her route, what
Yes.
do you mean? Like, is she like a character you can play as, or
Well, so
Pitiful world filled with
there are certain characters that you can like try to romance like through the game, and so they have like different routes. So it's kind of like visual novel kind of deal.
okay? So her
Um,
route would basically then be you can romance Katie in this route.
Yes,
Possibly.
but there'll also be like further like backstories to her character that you
Yeah.
would learn through that.
Yeah, sure. I
So-
assumed so.
Yeah, but it was just strange because the basic rule was, hey, if this person can help you in combat, like, and this person is important, then chances are there's a route for them. Katie was the only one who could help you in combat that didn't have their own route, which is very bizarre. So yeah, now she's taking center stage on this director's cut, basically.
Wow. Well,
It
that's
only
really
took
nice.
10 years. It only took 10 years for them to recognize Best Girl. So, just saying.
10
I-
years. 10 years the bridesmaid, never the bride.
I could be a Katie's fan. No way. Me, a fan? But anyways, now pretty cool that they came back to correct this major
Egregious mistake,
Yeah,
yeah.
egregious. So yeah, again, coming summer 2023. The DLC is coming for the base, wherever the base game's available, and also coming to the Switch now, which is new.
All right.
Yes.
Well, moving us along to the final new announcement. Last week, we talked a little bit about Cry Machina, and, well, now we've got some more news about it. In a world where humans went extinct thousands of years ago, synthetic beings known as Deus Ex Machina have been tasked to bring mankind back. Join 3EVE, the recreated psychics of deceased humans instilled in synthetic bodies as they seek their full-fledged humanity and explore Eden to discover the secrets hidden within. That's my best in a world voice.
I appreciate.
Take a look at the trailer.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
In a world. Okay, sorry. But seriously, that looks kind of pretty. As
So
far
we
as,
only
like,
have a Japanese trailer right now. I would imagine that as they get closer, if they have English dub, there will be like an English trailer at some point.
yeah.
Yeah. But this is like literally just like the first trailer. Period.
So when last we
A
talked
real
about this,
first.
there was some question about whether or not it was related to
Crystar.
Crystar.
Yeah.
What
We're
was
still not certain.
still not sure. Okay.
There might be, there might not be. The gameplay is very similar. Thematically, it could
It's
also
same
be
developers
similar.
though, so I mean,
Same
it could be a
developers.
coincidence.
I definitely think it's gonna be related somehow later
Mhm.
on, but like, the aesthetics is pretty different.
Yeah.
This is a lot more mechanical. You can even draw some parallel between this and like say something like Nier Automata,
Yeah.
whereas the other game is a little bit more magical in nature, but they could explain it away
Yeah.
somehow.
Sure.
There's
I
a
mean-
lot of crying involved. Look at that. This
Oh,
is
I cry
Yep.
every time.
So Crystar, the game that's already out, it's got a little bit of mixed reviews. Some people really like it.
Yeah.
Like they think the story is like, oh, it's not like you hear Crystar, just like, okay, this sounds kind of lame. But then when you play it, it's just like, wow, this is actually like a really emotional journey. Other people just say that it sucks. So it's pretty split from the people that I've talked to. I have the game. I'm actually looking forward to try it at some point. But look at my backlog. I'm just like, I look forward to trying this. And then 3
Yeah.
years later, it's like, oh.
3 years later, what was that game called again? Can't remember. Hey, let's play Trails.
Cry something. Just remember crying.
Cry me a river.
Yeah, so pretty cool stuff. There's just a lot of games that are similar, like Blue Reflection. They look at it and it's like a magical girl turn-based RPG, and just like, what? But apparently the story is also very like emotional, and if you're willing to be vulnerable and just try to like take it in, it could be a good experience. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, Derek, do you want to talk a little bit about the industry news while I just go and grab some tissue because I'm going
Yes,
to die soon?
Absolutely. I will
be
I
right
will
back.
stall for as long as I possibly can, but go ahead and hurry up.
Okay.
All right. So I guess I'm going to need to drag this one out for a minute or two, but we're going to be talking a little bit about Luminous Productions. Luminous Productions, everybody. That was the people behind Forspoken. And I think, gosh, I'm pretty sure they were also involved in the production of Final Fantasy 15. Don't quote me on that, but I'll verify with Baku when he gets back. Actually, I'll verify with Google before he gets back. Let's see. Luminous Studio. Oh, okay. I got it. I got a yep. There we go. Cool. Thanks, chat. So bad news ish for Luminous Studios. I mean, Luminous Studios Productions is going to be kind of being brought into the fold by Square Enix on May 1st of 2023. Luminous Productions is planning on working. They made like the Luminous engine on behalf of Square Enix, and they were working on this thing for the longest time. They were kind of their own studio within Square Enix, and it sounds like they're kind of just getting absorbed into the rest of Square Enix at this point.
Yeah,
So,
that's what it sounds like.
which is just really wild, man. Welcome back.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
yeah, so these are they worked on Forspoken and Final Fantasy 15. I don't think there was really anything else besides that actually came out.
I think
Uh,
those are the two, yeah. And also the engine itself, like that
Yeah.
was like the main thing.
Yeah, and so it's too bad. I feel kind of bad that they're kind of being that the studio itself is kind of being dismantled, but it kind of makes sense if they're kind of gonna cut their losses with that Luminous engine. So hopefully this
Yes.
means that they're gonna start, like embracing just regular engines like a normal company. I mean,
You
I
mean
know Square Enix
Unreal
is just
Engine
really
5?
yeah, it's like come on, just use Unreal. It's so easy to. I mean, I've never developed for Unreal, but I mean, it'd just be so
Mm.
much easier if they just didn't reinvent the wheel every few years. Like there are people that is their job is to reinvent that wheel, and they do
Yeah.
it a really good job of it. Almost like
Mhm.
every single dang time it comes out, it's like, oh my god, this is what Unreal can do now. I mean,
So
Luminous is beautiful.
Yeah.
The engine, they did a
Mhm.
really great job.
yeah.
But man, like those are resources that they put into that they cannot get back, and they can't or they haven't been selling it to other people. Like what's the point of developing your own engine if you're not going to sell it to other studios to use?
Right. Uh, well, I mean, okay, so two things, right? I do understand why they want to have their own in-house engine
Mhm.
because maybe they don't want to pay any kind of like royalty
Sure.
to, like Epic, for example, owns I
Mhm.
think Epic owns Unreal, right? So,
Yes.
they have to pay some things because Epic is not like letting you use this thing for free. It takes money
Yeah,
for them to develop this.
that is true.
So there's that, but I
But it's
think
not like the Luminous engine is free either.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like, so you're kind of like held hostage, right,
Mhm.
by a different company on how much they charge you, perhaps. But on the other hand, it costs an arm and a leg to do your own engine anyway. So,
Exactly. Yes,
like,
it's expensive, but you
yeah.
can have somebody else like the best engine developers in the world right now are probably already working for the Unreal Engine, right?
Yeah.
Like you can do some incredible things with the people that you hire yourself. Luminous Studios is a perfect example of that. But then like your costs are not being offset or subsidized by
Mhm.
other companies using your engine like it is for them.
Right?
Like it's a matter of scale of economics at this point. Like it's probably cheaper to just get the Forspoken to get the
I
bespoke engine.
I feel like at some point they probably thought about selling the engine to people, but it was so difficult to use that I don't think
That's my
anyone was
guess.
convinced to use it. It
Yeah.
would just be easier for a smaller studio to adapt like Unreal. And here's the other thing, right? Once you
Yeah.
have really popular engines, it's easier to hire people who knows how to use these engines
Oh yeah.
too. Whereas if you want to hire like a game developer, you
Oh yeah.
have to train them basically from the ground up to
Yeah.
use like the Luminous
That's the
engine.
beauty of using industry standard components with your software. Like,
Yeah.
I, for instance, use a lot of Adobe software, because that's just what I was able to pirate when I was in college.
Mhm.
But luckily, that's an industry standard software, and now every company that I work for is buying Adobe Suite for me. So now I don't have to worry about like pirating the Adobe software anymore because I have the skill set that is transferable because it's industry standard software.
Mhm. Yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
And hiring people is easier. The
Oh yeah,
pay rates are more standardized,
yeah,
right? Because there's just more people out there doing this work. So yeah.
yeah, exactly. Now, getting back to the news here. So Lumina Studios is being absorbed into Square Enix proper, and the people within it are going to be moved off to different departments apparently, which makes a lot of sense because obviously there are some really talented people working within these. Even though maybe the games themselves weren't. Well, Final Fantasy 15 was like it was a pretty successful game, I would say, despite its kind of controversial feedback from fans of Final Fantasy.
Mhm.
Forspoken kind of didn't do super well in
Yeah, which is a shame. I was really rooting for it.
I know, me too, but
Yeah.
it's all right. But yeah, really talented people were working on it. So it's good to see that Square Enix is going to keep taking care of their people. So there's that. And the Forspoken projects include a performance patch that they're going to be continuing to work on
Mhm.
called Entanto We Trust DLC. And that add-on
Yeah,
is going to be coming out in summer of 2023. So keep
that's
your eyes
right.
out for that if you were also enjoying your time through or with Forspoken.
Yeah, I mean, I think fingers crossed that it actually turns out to be a pretty good game because here's the thing, like there are a lot of things that people criticize the game for, and some of them are legit, some of them not so much. But regardless, I think the general consensus is we kind of wish that it was like just a little better game. So I'm kind of hoping these performance patch and also this like DLC, maybe they can change things around to at least be like a good game, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be the best game ever, but they have done a lot of things right with this game too. So it's not
especially
all
in my
downside.
opinion, if
Yeah.
you enjoyed God, what was the game called? Infamous on
Mhm.
PlayStation 3 by Sucker Punch. If it plays similarly, even though the characters are way different. The gameplay is pretty interesting and scratches that itch a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
You want to move
Yeah.
on to this next headline that
Oh.
you could tell I left it for you, right?
Why'd you leave it for me? Oh, because I didn't make a video on it. That's right. Okay. All right. Let's talk about it.
Give the people what they
So,
want.
giving the people what they want. So apparently, Yoshi P or Naoki Yoshida doesn't want Final Fantasy 16 to be called a JRPG. Oh no, what's
Hmm.
this about? So if you haven't been under a rock in this past week, you probably have heard somebody say something along the lines of oh no, JRPG, that's a dirty word now, and we gotta like ban it or something or another. And then people
Hmm.
pushing back like, no, there's no banning this term, what are you talking about? And I've read a lot of things that people have said. I think that we don't necessarily have the facts straight with some folks that I've seen. But then again, as I've said many times, Twitter is where nuance dies. So,
That's true.
people type in 200 characters, they miss some details. The next person reads that tweet, retweets, writes something else, and before
Hmm.
you know it, everything's skewed.
Before you
And
know
and
it,
just
everybody's pissed off at Yoshi P for something he didn't say.
Yeah, well, he did
He said
say
some stuff, but there's
stuff.
there's
Yeah,
a lot of
but
nuance
also,
to it.
yeah, he said stuff, but let's get into it. So let's just calm down, put down the pitchforks, and let's talk about what actually transpired.
Okay,
So
fine. I'll
this
put my
all
pitchfork
started
to the side, but I'll keep it in within
just
arm's distance,
by
okay?
wayside, right?
Hmm.
like a, okay, so this all started with an interview between Yoshi P, his interpreter Koji Fox, and a YouTuber named SkillUp. Now, SkillUp had heard Yoshi P talk about action RPGs and how, oh, not action RPG, action games, and how like Yoshi P feels like this is the direction that is worth going towards. There's a lot of advances in action games. So Skill Up wanted to ask Yoshi P in his interview whether or not he thought that the JRPG genre had not advanced in the same way that action game genre had.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will link the original video in the description, so you guys definitely should watch it. So, the director to Skill Up surprise, the director basically like it frowned and just like he didn't look too happy about like the term. He's speaking Japanese, he's saying JRPG this, JRPG that, and like obviously Skill had like absolutely no idea what is being said, but thankfully there is Koji Fox, the interpreter, who had translated Yoshi P's response to the question. So it follows, and here's some transcript, and there are more to this, but we're just going to read a couple of passages that in part of his response. And again, I don't think Skill Up expected this, and nor did Yoshi P expect this question to be asked. Like, or maybe he didn't really expect to go into length of talking about JRPG as a genre.
Sure.
I think he was really there to talk about Final Fantasy 16
specifically,
but kind of led into it. So, okay, so listen up. This is Yoshi P's response. Us Koji Fox had translated. One thing he wants to get across is that when we create games, we as in like the Final Fantasy developers, we don't go into them thinking we are creating JRPGs. We're just creating RPGs. The term JRPG is used by Western media rather than users and media in Japan. Now, so that's one quote from the video. So these are exact words as they are quotes. And I will say that as someone who's lived in Asia, that is true. We don't in Asia say Western RPG and Japan RPG. Like that's not
I'm
a
guessing
thing.
I'm guessing that in China people don't say let's go get Chinese food, right? They say let's go get food.
Yeah, but I mean, but even so, like you would think that we would have like, oh, let's go get some Western food, which we do. We do say that about food, but as far as like game is concerned, though, I mean, when I was growing up, we would have like, oh, this is an action RPG, like Terra Enigma, that's an action RPG. Trials of Mana, that's an action RPG. East, that's an action RPG. And then you have like Final Fantasy, which I know there's ATB, but we still count that as like turn-based, even though it's technically not. But
I mean,
whatever.
It's just your turn is like a little fluid.
It's menu-based, real time, right? But whatever, right? We call that, and quite frankly, we don't call that turn-based RPG so much as we just call that an RPG.
Sure.
Like now, but it's useful for us to think of it that way because of our worldview.
Yeah.
Or through our lens, like through our tradition, it makes sense. When you say those words, it means something in our collective consciousness, right? But that's, at the end of the day, that's what these categories are really for when they're useful. But we'll talk about when they're destructive. So continuing on.
All right.
And again, this is another quote as translated by Koji Fox. This is going to depend on who you ask, but there was a time when this term, JRPG, first appeared 15 years ago. And for us developers, the first time we heard it, it was like a discriminatory term, as though we were being made fun of for creating these games. And so for some developers, the term JRPG can be something that will maybe trigger bad feelings because of what it was in the past. It wasn't a compliment to a lot of developers in Japan.
Right.
We understand that recently JRPG has better connotations and it's being used as a positive. But we still remember the time when it was used as a negative. So he's speaking from like his perspectives and maybe his colleagues' perspective. That is, back years and years ago. We had to live through this thing. We
Around
felt like we were being made fun of.
Yeah, this was around
And
like the
like,
Wii, the PS3 era, Xbox 360 era. This is like when
right.
this was when Final Fantasy 13 was being trashed hard. I mean,
Was that already 15 years ago?
yeah,
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Time
That
flies. It
time
is
flies, yeah.
like as far as like the Wii, like what did we have? Arc Rise Fantasia. Like the genre was taking some hits around that time.
Yeah.
And if that's the first time that they heard that phrase, it's no wonder that it was in the context of them like not doing super well.
Yeah.
Um,
And
which is really unfortunate because I'm pretty sure that we've been using it outside of the media, casual like discussion. I'm pretty sure this has
Mhm.
been in our vernacular players for long over than 15 years.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they just learned about it 15 years ago. It
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah, and they
So,
would have
you
only heard
know,
about it through Western media,
mhm.
which would probably include things like X Play or
Yeah.
G4
I mean,
TV.
look, like international communication really improved with the advent
Oh,
of the
for
internet, and
sure.
what's the commercialization of the internet,
Mhm.
and so a lot of things that we talk. So Japan had for the longest time a really difficult time gauging with Western fans,
Yeah.
or to
Even
even
still,
really
because the
understand them.
language barrier,
What the
right?
language barrier, just the fact that they're not in the West, right? So, but back like about 15 years ago is when they have really established like good translation channels, but and in a reverse direction, being able to get feedbacks from
Mhm.
the West, having more understanding of what the global market looks like, right?
Yeah.
That was about 15 years ago. Prior to that, of course, they've released their RPGs to the West, but it's not with the same level of like data gathering sophistication that they do today,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Which
We are
makes
more
me
interconnected than ever, which is probably why they can see now that
right.
JRPG isn't meant to be a slur. At least they don't. I mean, not now, not in the context
Yeah,
that they're hearing about it today.
yeah. At
But
least they recognize that like it has better connotation. It is being used as a negative, but they do remember their times, and for a long time it
yeah,
was a negative for them. So I understand the sentiment,
yeah.
like but we can go on.
Okay.
One more quote, and then we can chat a little bit.
Mhm.
I remember seeing something 15 years ago, which was basically a definition of a JRPG what a JRPG was versus a Western RPG. And it's kind of like 5A7. And it has this type of graphics, this length of story, this compartmentalizing what we were creating into this like JRPG box.
Yeah,
And taking offense to that, because that's not how we were going in creating. We were going in to create an RPG, but to be compartmentalized, it felt they felt it was discriminatory.
yeah.
Sorry, the
No,
last part
totally
I
understand.
missed some words.
And I think that
So
one of the
yeah.
differences here is the way that they perceived its use versus the way that it was used, which is I think we like to use it as a descriptor, right?
Mhm.
We use it to describe the game. Oh, it's like an JRPG. It has, to give you an idea of what it features. But they were kind of told the word prescriptively. Oh, this is what a
Mhm.
JRPG does. This is what you need to do to be a JRPG. This is, you
Yeah.
know, so descriptive versus prescriptive. It's a very
Mhm.
important distinction, but it can definitely change the way that you engage with a word.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a very that is a great way to articulate exactly the problem of this. And I think I included that quote. And there are more quotes in the original video. Again, just please watch the original video so you
mhm.
can have like firsthand information as to how this thing even came about instead of just like reading a tweet,
Yeah.
because I've seen too many of those already.
Mhm.
So here are the facts straight. It again summarized: an interviewer named Skill Up asked the question, got way more than he bargained for, and then he
And then Yoshi
definitely
P
just
got way more than he bargained for.
exactly. And then he got into this conversation about it, which scared Skill up for a little bit because he was just going on. So he definitely has some strong feel.
Yeah.
He probably had been waiting to say this for a long time. So the feelings came out, and I appreciate Yoshi P for just like keeping it real.
Yeah,
you know,
and
and
Yoshi P also, he never said like, "Oh, don't use the word JRPG." He never
Nowhere.
said that. He never said that the word was discriminatory, but just that the context in which they had been hearing it was,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
which it doesn't necessarily. And this is just talking about Yoshi P and not the guy behind Xenogears, who also at one point said something about something like
Mhm.
10 years ago,
Mhm.
said something about how he didn't really love the word either. At no
Yeah.
point though are they like, don't use the word. So, just don't hate Yoshi P, guys. He's a
Yeah.
good guy, I promise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Don't
know.
hate Yoshi P.
I mean, maybe, I
for
don't know.
this.
If
Yeah.
it turns out later that he's like, a psychopath
total-
killer or something like
yeah.
that, don't hold my words against me. But from everything that I've seen and from everybody who's played his games, they love and adore the things that he's doing. And I think that we can afford to give him the benefit of the doubt in this case,
Absolutely. And so I think those are the two main things we want to clear up first and foremost is the circumstances surrounding, the comments, what the comments themselves are about, and the fact that, Yoshi P is not someone who like we should just like go after for some strange reason because
Yeah.
all he's shared was his feelings and his colleagues on the term from their perspective. And what, you're gonna tell them that they're feeling wrong? Like, no, that's how they felt about it.
No.
It's their work.
I
that
feel
is
like I
being
got to
trashed,
clarify something
you know?
because I brought up Tetsuya Takahashi real quick,
Uh-huh.
and somebody's asking, wait, he doesn't like the term JRPG? Well, he said in an interview that he didn't really like it. And then 2 years later, though, he recanted that, and said that he understands how we use it now. At the time, he didn't understand it, but now he understands it in the same way that, like, in Japan, they say American comics to distinguish against manga, right?
Yeah.
So that was like his example. And so that's kind of what we do, So,
Yeah.
so I wanted to clarify that Takahashi does not currently feel that way, but during an interview, you might see that that came up at one point. So
Yeah. And
sorry.
you know how people dig up things and then they
Yeah.
don't do a very clean job, and all of a sudden it just rehashes all these things. Like, look at what all these other developers say. We
Yeah.
should just totally abandon the term. I'm like,
I mean, there are
listen,
reasons to abandon the term. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
And this is the reason. Okay, it's my turn to talk. This is the reason I made today's video. Is that the RPG genre as a whole sucks. I mean, not talking about the games, but the genre nomenclature. We have a
Yeah.
problem with the way we talk about games because what the hell even is an RPG? Because you've heard this 1,000 times. I've heard it 1,000 times. Well, technically, any game's an RPG because you play the role of Mario, the plumber, when you play a Mario game. It's like, come on, that is not what
Yeah.
that means, and you know it. The
oh,
JRPG,
I hate it when people get smart
nobody
with me
agrees
like
on
that.
nobody agrees on what a JRPG even is. People are like, oh, well, if it's an action game, it can't be a JRPG because it's an action RPG. It's like, well, how about an action JRPG? Like that can be a thing, right? Terra Enigma is an action JRPG,
Mhm.
right? Or the newest titles like Sea of Stars, like, oh, Sea of Stars is a JRPG. No, that's made by Western developers. That's it's like, come on.
Sorry, Derek. I have been told in the past that if it's an action RPG, it cannot be a JRPG. I'm just like, sorry. I'm like, sorry, what? Like,
I
that is
don't
a
think
real
that's true.
thing. That is a real thing
yes.
that people think. I'm not saying it's
I know.
true or valid, but
I know,
people
and
have
that's
definitely thought that.
and that's why I say let's call the whole thing off. Let's wipe the slate clean. That was my secret alternative reason for making the video today was just to, like, since everybody's already talking about it, everybody's already like, hey, let's get rid of JRPG. I'm like, okay, let's do this. But we got to get something to move on to. It's not good enough just to say, don't say the word JRPG. Like that's not sufficient. That's not doing anybody any good. Instead, we need something to move to. So if anybody out there is really impassioned and just like, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and move away from that. Start coming up with ideas. I've come up with a few ideas that I put in my video. They suck. Come up with something better. Because like I don't know, like you've heard of like visual novels. What about like interactive novels, right? Something that's a little more I don't know, something with some combat. So, anyways, that's
Mhm.
my whole soapbox spiel. I'll go watch my video from today if you want to see more about
Go
it.
watch Derek's video.
Yeah.
I watched it when I think it came out, and like within less than a minute I saw it. I happened to be scrolling down YouTube, so I'm like, oh look, new video. Oh look, Derek made a statement.
Oh, dude,
Mm.
people came looking for a fight. And you can
I-
tell this because it came out in 1 minute. In 1 minute, I had 5 comments from people.
I saw.
It's like, guys, come on. You're going to at least
I'm
watch
like,
the video
dude,
first.
yeah, right. I'm like, dude, you haven't even had the time to watch the full video. You already commented. I
They're
know.
looking for a fight. They come out
Yes.
swinging. Oh,
I saw, because
And
I
they were-
was right there.
and they're
you know?
all upvoting their own comments. They're all like, yes, this is my comment, and I liked it. Okay.
So I will share a little bit from my perspective, if it's okay with you.
Oh, please do.
And then I think we can chat about it, or we can move on. It's up to you. But I've shared this on my stream the other day, and I almost had like an allergic reaction when I see people like pitchforking, just because like it's almost like a woke moment, like, oh, they didn't like the term, we should get rid of it. It's like, well, hold on, like they didn't say they don't like the term per se. It's just
Yeah.
like they've had bad feelings with it. Like, have you read the whole thing? Like, they know that this is like a pretty good thing now. So I wrote this whole thing on Twitter, and then I had some conversations with people who are also very passionate RPG gamers. And one person in particular got me realizing why I cared about it, and why it cuts deep is
Yeah.
because and this is my personal perspective, definitely not like a majority thing.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, like young Baku at age like 9 or 10, who just moved to the States, I've been playing JRPGs since before, and of course I would have just called it RPG.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, Terra Enigma, Trials of Mana, you name it, like the golden age of RPG on the Super Nintendo, plus like a couple one on PlayStation, because that was like the new thing that just came out. And I would make friends in the States, speaking very little English at the time, and having a hard time explaining what I'm even doing or playing. And in fact, like, the games are in Japanese, which made it even more complicated to try to explain and what have you. Some kids, obviously none of the kids understood what I was playing. Those are not games that a typical kid plays in the States. But so over time, like from elementary school to middle school and even into high school, some of the kids really came around, and they're just like, wow, this is really cool. Oh my God. Like, oh, there's an English translation for this. Oh, now I know. Like, we connected, right?
Yeah.
And that was right around the time when like the term JRPGs really thrown into my life, right? That's how we described it, right? It's a camaraderie, right? But then there will be others who just like couldn't get with it, makes fun of it, puts it down because it's weird. Oh, you play this, that's so nerdy and lame.
Yeah.
Kids will be kids. And so that somehow got mixed into this whole like Asianness that was part of my identity. Now it's not just my language, my culture, the foods I eat gets made fun of, right? Because they smell funny, right? You know how much people pay top dollar for Asian foods now, right? Now it's all
yeah.
in vogue. Now it's cool. But take it back, like back in the 90s, you want to eat kimchi in the school cafeteria, you will get like dunked on.
Yeah.
Okay. So you will get humiliated, right? You even bring anything remotely weird into the lunchroom.
I know.
Now it's like, oh wow, this is very chic. Look at this. What is it? Poke that you've got there. Oh,
Yeah.
very fancy. Yeah, no, you would have get made fun of for bringing raw tuna, like for lunch,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh, your
Also,
mom
please
didn't
don't bring
didn't
raw
cook your
tuna for
fish
lunch.
first. What's wrong with her?
Yeah,
Can't
like
afford to eat this month or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
They'll say something, right?
Yeah,
So
because
it,
well, I mean, kids are gonna find anything to pick on you for, but I'm sure it
yeah.
really doesn't help when you're like, you know, when they have so many things that they can like poke at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to take it to its conclusion now. So as the time goes on, a lot of the things that were part of my identity, watching anime was made fun of. And now it's like you have to pay Crunchyroll. There are multiple services. People pay top dollars for these services to watch
Can
all the
confirm.
newest simulcast anime. What
Yeah.
up, right? These games, JRPG. Now it's not a bad thing, right? Now it's positive. It's all these things.
It's been
Asian foods
gentrified
is
now.
in vogue, right? Yeah, right. So it's not like it's not like a isolated like item that are now revered. It's like it's
Yeah.
all these things. Like people watch K drama, like
Oh,
there are all
God,
these
yeah.
K-pop stands. Like, yeah, take it back 15, 20 years, you get made fun of for that stuff.
I know.
Right. But so now that they are great and we can celebrate it and I can stand tall and proud of I withstand all this stuff. Now you're telling me you want to get rid of this? I'm like, hold on. I fought this battle like right alongside with everyone else. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not against changing it, right? But if you're going to change it, it's not because you suddenly found this wokeness in you because of some developer said something in Japan. Now, their feelings are definitely valid,
Sure.
but that's that's overseas. Like judge their work for what they are, right? You should do that to begin with. But if you're gonna talk about like I want to do this because it's like somehow the right thing to do, like I'm not necessarily convinced you understand like the nuance of this, right? Not you, but I mean like some of these people
Yeah.
that I'm seeing. Like I don't think you understand the nuances. Like I don't think you were there when we were all like dunked on for liking these things. And now you want to just take it away and just like, well, nope, sorry, we're gonna do something else now. It's like, who died and made you king? Like. But I'm with you. Like the whole thing about JRPG or in fact RPG in general is not even a good description to begin with. So if you want to change it because there are better ways to describe this, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you want to say you want to change it because it's a social thing, then no,
Yeah.
no to that.
Yeah. That's kind of my thought as well, and I feel like that's a big reason why a lot of those people that when I put out that video came looking for a fight. A lot of people were entrenched, that's like,
Yeah.
it's time for a Twitter war. Let's dig our trenches. And then, let's all dig our heels in. Let's close our ears and prepare to resist the influence. Right. But that's, but the weird thing is like when I would talk in the comments, I would talk to everybody because I wanted to try to start the actual discussion for my own personal selfish reasons of wanting a nomenclature that actually functions. And as soon as I phrased it in that way, people are like, oh yeah, that kind of makes a little bit of sense,
No, it makes a lot of sense. And just one last thing before I move on, I
Yeah.
just want to reiterate that what part of the sentiment from Yoshi P saying basically there was a definition of what a JRPG was versus a Western RPG. It's kind of like Final Fantasy VII. It has this type of graphics, this length of story, and is compartmentalizing what we were creating into this JRPG box. That's the thing that I've always said. It's so wrong about how we look at it, right? It's like it has to be turn-based. It has to be this thing. It has to be this thing, or else it is not a JRPG. It's like, yeah, but they have been evolving, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the JRPGs we have today, like, what you're gonna tell me? Tales of Rise is not a JRPG. You're gonna tell me Xenoblade is not a JRPG? Well, of course they are, right? But
Yeah.
how different are they from like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2? like
Pretty
Ys
different.
1 and 2. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty darn different, right? So what is it then, right? Well, you have to accept that they evolve over time.
Oh yeah.
And that's how you get away from the compartmentalizing. Like you have to accept that this thing
It's a lot
is like an
broader
art.
than
Yeah,
just a handful of mechanics, right?
right. And unless you are willing to accept that, you are doing the compartmentalizing that they're talking about, that you're just
Putting it in
stuffing
a
them into
box.
this, right, like you're strangling them into this creative chokehold where like
Exactly.
you have to do this or else. It's like, well, no, they should just make the best game they feel
Yeah.
would bring the most joy and value to people who play it and tells the story, right?
I think that's a
So,
big part of what Yoshi P was trying to say basically is, you
Yeah.
know, during this interview in particular, is probably just don't expect a JRPG out. Don't expect your definition of a JRPG out of Final Fantasy 16 because that's not what he's aiming for, right?
yeah, he just
So-
wants to make an RPG.
There, just kind of tie a nice little bow on it at the end there.
Basically, right? Yeah, so there you go. That's the whole thing. So again, please definitely watch the original video, and also be sure to watch Mr. Derek's video that came out today on that topic, and be sure to comment and upvote yourself and join the discussion.
Dig those trenches.
Yes.
So next we have a little bit of additional news from Square Enix. This one,
Lots of Square Enix news.
this one is a little less spicy. You know, I was a little excited when I first saw it.
I would disagree. I think this is pretty darn spicy.
Do you? All right.
Oh
all right.
yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. Well, Square Enix president Matsuda may be replaced in June of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Mr. NFTs himself.
It's the NFT. Yeah.
The current Square Enix president and representative director, Yosuke Matsuda, will be replaced by, Takashi Kiryu. Kiryu?
Takashi Kiryu. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, sorry, I said Kiryu and I was like, that's Yakuza. Hang on.
Kiryu's a common last name.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
He is a board member at Square Enix and formerly former chief strategy officer, or CSO, for Square Enix Holdings, as well as chairman of the Square Enix China.
Dude, the man is only 47 years old. Just
Dude,
wow.
That's quite
Yeah.
a resume.
Quite some achievement for a 47-year-old. But yeah.
Yeah, and before that, he was general manager of Dentsu Innovation Initiative, an R&D organization focused on scouring of new and disruptive technologies, including stuff like, blockchain and Web 3.0.
Yep. There you go. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
All right, so this is still at the proposal stage, and will need shareholder approval. If approved, the replacement will be finalized at Square Enix's 43rd annual shareholders meeting, and is its accompanying board of directors meeting. The meetings are scheduled for June of 2023.
Yes. So, which is why we said that he may be replaced. I mean, the
And
writing's
if it
on the
happens, it will
wall.
happen at such and such date, but
Yeah.
it's still up in the air.
It's up in the air, but we're pretty sure he's gone by June, based on just the politics and the way things are going.
Do you want to unpack that? What's the way things are going? What do you mean by that?
I mean to say that the very fact that they even brought this up means that it's pretty much in the bag, and everything else is probably just formality and maybe some legality issue. Like, oh, we have to have a shareholder meeting.
Yeah, there's got to be
But-
a vote
Yeah,
to
but they
actually do
wouldn't.
it, right?
They wouldn't bring this up to embarrass the man if they don't have a strong feeling that it's going to pass through.
Oh,
they
that
have-
probably
they, like-
does work a little bit differently in Japan than it does in the U.S., doesn't it?
But nothing's absolute, right? But
Sure.
there's still a chance that it doesn't happen, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is why we're very careful to say it may happen, and
Sure.
if it does happen, he will be replaced by Takashi Kiryu.
So
Now,
you
yeah.
you mentioned the way things are going at Square Enix. What do you mean by that?
So yeah, so they basically given a statement as to exactly why they wanted to change this. And in fact, it's the very first page of this memo that got sent out. Reason for the proposed change. I love the corporate language. And it's not because I am doing my MBA, but I just love how, like, the subtle, like, once you can read between the lines, the subtle shade is amazing. And it reads, under the rapid change of business environment surrounding the entertainment industry, the proposed change is intended to reshape the management team with the goal of adapting ever-evolving technological innovations and maximizing on the creativity of the company's group in order to deliver even greater entertainment to its customers around the world. Which basically, to me anyways, is saying that this man does not know what he's doing. We're going to bring in someone else who does. So it's a lot of shade that got thrown into that, like, business lingo. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I mean by, like, the way things are going, right? Because again, they wouldn't throw all these things out if they don't either A, feel strongly about it, that is the trend, and that B, the shareholders will accept it.
Okay. So,
So
do
this
you
is
think
probably the general consensus of their shareholders right now and the board.
do you think that it is his full speed ahead with NFTs that is like got him on the chopping block at this point?
I think so. So I think that okay. So let's take it a step back first, right? Let me answer a question that a lot of people are probably thinking, which is, like, oh, they're getting a new guy in. See you later, President NFT, right? It's like, well, if what you didn't know is that Takashi Kiryu literally came from, like, a blockchain firm. Well, I mean, he worked on many other technologies, like,
Sure.
again, like, including Web 3.0. So there are a lot of, he does have a lot under his belt.
But
as
he was
far
looking
as,
at all
like,
kinds of disruptive technologies, not just NFTs,
right, not
right?
just blockchain or NFT for that matter. So what that really tells me is that doesn't necessarily mean that they're just gonna stop the NFT projects, but I also feel like um I think they're walking back on NFT at least somewhat. Like, I think
Pumping
they
the
want to,
brakes a little.
yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, NFT could be a thing we do, but we shouldn't dump like $500 million with like 5 different IPs to do NFT. Maybe just do one, right? Like, let's not sink all of our, like, eggs into a single basket.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. So I don't think they're abandoning NFT. Like, if
Yeah.
you think this change means abandon NFT because they're getting rid of this huge proponent, I don't agree. I don't agree that's what they're doing. But are they probably pumping the brakes a bit and be like, well, hold on, you just sold like 6 companies to fund this whole thing? Like, what?
Undervalue at that.
Yeah, and they're severely undervalued. Yeah, they're probably pumping the brakes on it, especially with the, like, impending, like, probably a financial crisis coming, honestly. If US hits a recession, like, that's gonna trigger, like, a global, like, recession. Like, I don't know if people understand, like, what a US, like, recession means for the entire world that does business with us. It's not good.
I'm just going to
Um,
interject my own opinion and say, bro, the recession has been here for a couple of years. It's just been masked. But
yeah.
the line continues to go up, but man, the hamster in the wheel is dead.
I think we just haven't hit that, like, 2008 point, if that makes sense. Like,
Oh
massive
no.
stock
Yeah,
crash,
that
massive,
hasn't happened
like,
yet. Yeah, I know what
yeah.
you mean.
Yeah, they're just waiting for that to happen. But once that does, so I think they ought to play it safe in this
Yeah.
environment. No one should make, like, crazy, even if you can get ahead, right? Even if it means to get ahead, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone should make these crazy, like, investments,
Yeah.
like, so we'll see.
Yeah. This is too real.
Yeah.
Let's move along.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
see.
jeez.
All right. So speaking of talking about presidents, let's talk about a different president. This time is the Nihon Falcon president,
My Lord and Savior
Toshihiro
Kondo.
Kondo. Yes. That's right. He's also getting. I'm just kidding.
Mhm. Oh God.
Oh God, wouldn't that be scary for a lot of people,
Oh my
right?
God.
No, it is just an interview with a Japanese outlet Gamer, and they briefly spoke about East 5, and I thought it was pretty interesting how he talked about it. It is not like a huge news like the other ones we talked about, but you know what? It's encouraging that at least it's crossed their mind to talk about East 5. Now, for those who are uninitiated about East games in general, East 5 is kind of like the unspoken game that and whenever a new person comes and asks us like, oh, like I see all these games, like are all the games available on modern consoles? Like, yeah, no, one of them is not there. Or like if they go through and they're just like, oh, I am new to this series, how come I can't find East 5? We just go like, shh, we don't talk about East 5.
What's wrong with it? No.
So East 5 is the game that is the only game that's not available on any modern console. It's only available on PS2. It's only in Japanese. So it's never translated. Officially, anyways.
Huh.
Of course, there are fan translations and what have you. But so what that means is it's extremely hard to play the game. Hence why we don't really spend a whole lot of time talking about it. No,
Yeah.
just due to its availability, right? And so Gamer briefly asked Kondo about it, and here's what Kondo had to say. Not in quote. He just said that, well, it is not currently available on modern console. And that through internal discussions, as in like they've talked about it in Falcom, they have concluded that if they ever do bring East 5 over, they would basically have to rework and revise the scenario. Like it couldn't be like a straight port. That's just no way. They'd have to basically remake the game.
Why?
So because it just doesn't work with the existing canon, I think. I think that's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're I mean I think East 5 also had like a different company involved, and it's kind of a mess.
So East 5 is basically like the mother of all black sheep of this series then, huh?
Yeah, basically. They need some kind of retcon, you know. So yeah, I mean what, they're gonna bring a PS2 games? Like they wouldn't do that. And the scenario again, just like it's got to fit with Celceta, and it's got to fit with E6, and it's got to fit with like the grand stories. They probably have to redo a lot of things, and maybe part of it is also to make sure that like the story sensibility makes sense and can attract like a modern audience too. Like if you're gonna spend all that money to do this thing, they are probably gonna try to redo it so that it works for, you know, the existing audience. Now I'm actually all for it. If they ever like give us an East 5 and there's a new game, I played the heck out of that. And you know what works for East though? Every story is more or less self-contained. I mean, yes, you do have some stuff that carries over sometimes, some characters you've met along the way that makes the comeback. Looking at you,
Dogi.
Dogi, yeah. But you know, for the most part, they are pretty self-contained. And so if they want to remake 5, like it won't be as bad as if they want to say remake Trails in the Sky.
Well,
That's what I think. Yeah.
yeah. Well, gosh, I hope they bring over. I hope they port Sky again at some point.
I do too, but I doubt they will.
I know.
For the things that they have even talked about themselves, which is they want to finish Trails in the Sky before the staff retires, and they have a lot of stories left to tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's it's too bad.
Yeah.
They should have Durante just do a port of the Evo versions of Sky over to Nintendo Switch and PC,
That would be cool.
and then we'll never get them because it's all tied up with Xseed or something right now, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not
So,
happening. Yeah.
yep.
They have to redo it.
Mm, God. All
Yeah.
right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and move along to a little bit of some different news here.
Mhm.
Coming from Capcom's Spotlight, Capcom have announced, the Spotlight that's going to appear on March 9th of 2023 at at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time or 5:30 p.m. Eastern time with a pre-show 20 minutes earlier at about 2:10 Pacific time or 5:10, Eastern. It
Yes.
noted 5 specific titles that will appear.
Mhm.
One of which is Exoprimal. The other is Ghost Trick. There's also the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. That's probably going to be what a lot of people here are curious
Oh
about.
yeah.
A lot of people also probably interested in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak,
Mhm.
and then Resident Evil 4. And then also what they didn't mention is Breath of Fire, which is probably not going to be there.
Yeah.
But hopefully, God, we can hope and pray.
Wouldn't it be
Fingers
crazy?
crossed, man.
Wouldn't it be crazy if
This
they
would be
just...
the event if if that poll actually that we all went and
Mhm.
brigaded, if we're being honest,
Mhm.
if that feeler that they sent out a while back had any effect at all, this might be one of those times that you first hear about it, if they had something. But anyways, they noted that these would be what appeared, these 5 things. Go in expecting just those things.
Mhm.
If there's anything extra, then I mean that'd be pretty dang cool, but don't
Let
hold
me
your
ask you
breath.
this: would you tear up if if that became like a thing, like right at the very end? They'll
There's
just
a
have a
there's a
Breath
few
of Fire
moments when it's
announcement.
okay for a man to cry. When your parents die, when your kid dies, when your spouse dies, and when Capcom reannounces Breath of
Breath
Fire.
of-
I'm just kidding. It's okay to cry all the time. I cry all the time. It's fine.
Oh boy, yeah. Because I look, it could be
I
absolutely
would,
nothing. This is
yeah.
not news, by the way, for people. Like I just want to let you know that let y'all know that we're not hinting that that's going to be a thing that happens. We're just
Oh
saying
yeah,
if
I'm,
it
I'm
does
just
happen.
praying and hoping. Oh,
Yeah.
when your dog dies, thank you, 10,000 noodles. That's oh my god, trust me, that wrecked me for a couple months.
Yeah.
To be
My
honest.
dog passed away when I was in college, and it was very upsetting for me, and it still upsets me today. But yeah, so 5 games, pretty cool. I know no one here probably cares about Exoprimal. Ghost Trick. Do you remember Ghost Trick?
I have it on DS. I think I remember
Yeah.
we talked about the remake or remaster that was
Yeah,
announced.
I think remake. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's probably what they're talking about. I think a lot of people are very interested in Ghost Trick. It's kind of like a puzzle game, so it's
yeah,
kind of cool.
and it like relied on like physics based puzzles and stuff. That was
Yeah,
kind of
like you
interesting.
click on a thing, you use your ghost power, you click on that thing, you interact with it, but everything
Yeah.
you interact with, like, kills a little bit at a time before the
Uh-huh.
thing that you're trying to prevent. So you have to like figure it out how to do all these things before it's too late to save someone.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, absolutely something that I've already seen so many people in our viewership who are like big fans of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and that personally for me, Resident Evil 4 remake. I definitely involved. But imagine after all these 5 games, they talk about Breath of Fire. It's like, and now special announcement.
My
then
God,
just-
dude. Don't get my hopes up. Don't do me like this because legitimately, Breath of Fire is one of those games that has such a special spot in my heart. Not only
Oh,
as like
man.
a fan of RPGs, but like as a content creator, it was the very first series that I did like a series retrospective on, where I went through
Really?
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Even
Wow.
today, even though they are trash tier YouTube content, they still have like some of my most viewed videos.
You mean classics? They're
yeah.
classics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They could use a little refurbishment, but I think that that's one of the game series that I covered that brought in a lot of my most loyal viewers at this point.
Mm.
And because they were the ones that blew up the earliest on. Like I was like a nobody, and I was like putting out these videos talking about Breath of Fire, and like some of them got like thousands of views, which was like, you know, now it's like I put out a video, I might get a few thousand views, but like back then when I have like 500 subscribers and I get like
It's hard,
2,000 views,
man.
it's like, oh my god.
It's hard.
And even now they're like over hundreds of thousands each, and it's like, my god, yeah. So
And
super special spot in
also-
my heart, and
Yeah.
and man, those games, especially 3, is still my favorite. It's just so good.
Also, if you're one of those loyal fans, definitely write something in the comment just to let us know, like, hey, I was there for those videos, just so we can recognize you.
Man, Breath of Fire 3 was one of the first games that I ever got that actually had like the original Japanese like actual art inside. You open it up and it's these anime characters with the blue hair. Oh my god, the blue hair. Remember when
Is
every
there
anime
no- is
character
there
had
no
blue
H-
hair?
Right? Oh, yeah, for whatever reason. It's got to be some kind of like color constraint thing.
Maybe, but man, I loved it. I loved it so much. I was like, oh my god, blue hair. I wanted blue hair because of all of the various Ryus out there.
Oh my god,
Except
I've
for-
had a phase when I wanted blue hair too.
Dude, is it too late? Is 36 too late to do blue hair?
No, it's not. I mean, you work from home, it's fine.
I don't work from home.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
I don't interface with customers except for
Oh,
when
yeah,
I'm
then
providing
that's-
trainings.
that's all
but,
that matters. Yeah, no
actually,
one's gonna.
I actually do make videos for work where I appear on camera, so maybe I shouldn't.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe you shouldn't.
Dang it! Oh, maybe when I turn
Sorry.
40, I'll treat myself.
Yeah, just get a new job and just for the
Guys.
blue hair.
Hey, everybody! New Patreon special goal. If we hit my go full time goal, Super Derek gets blue hair full time. Oh my
Full
god,
time blue hair.
dude! I swear to God, if I go full time on YouTube within a year, heck, make it 2 years. If I go full time on YouTube within 2 years, permanently blue hair, Super Derek from now on.
Oh my god.
I'll even do the beard.
Wait, hold on. So is there no HD like collection for Breath of Fire yet?
No. The closest
Oh.
thing we got was a port of Breath of Fire 3 to PlayStation Portable, which that ain't HD, but it is at least
Yeah.
widescreen.
Come on, Capcom. That's a lot of money. They're just leaving so much money on the table. Dude, Capcom, you've seen what we've done with like what is it? Legend of Dragoon.
Oh yeah.
And it's definitely like a less
What did we
notable.
do with Legend of Dragoon?
We supported it. We bought
Oh
it.
yes,
Yeah.
we supported it, and
Yeah,
we made
we-
yeah.
And then we got very upset that Sony didn't like fix anything.
And
on
then
the
they
thing,
fixed
in
it.
fact. Yeah. And so
I think
I
they
mean,
fixed it, right? They fixed it.
did they?
I think they did.
I don't know if they did. But they should have fixed it before release is kind of the point, but
Yeah.
then they didn't. I mean, Capcom has to have seen what we've done for like
Yes,
Square
they did fix
Enix
it.
games.
That's right. This,
Oh, they
this
have
did,
fixed
they did
it.
they did put out a patch, and it
Okay.
fixed it. All of the issues that like the dragon transformations, all the magic and stuff. It works
very
now.
nice.
Okay.
But they had to release a patch on it.
Yeah.
Shame on them.
Yeah. The future is being
okay.
patched.
Yeah, they've seen the Square Enix like games like Chrono Trigger. They release it, we buy it. Tactics Ogre, they release it, we buy it. So Capcom, come on, get with the program. Like I know, I love all the new work that y'all are doing.
Mhm.
You're leaving a lot of money on the table that are pretty easy picking. Maybe they're just saving it for the rainy days. You know, like when a Street Fighter didn't do so hot, they're like, okay, time to
They're
bring
doing
out the.
they're doing the Square Enix approach of how to re-release Chrono Trigger. They're like, yeah, we'll do it when we need an extra, need it when we really can't afford to take out the next bank loan for an NFT. We'll we'll really
Yeah, boy.
Oh god, could you
and-
imagine Square Enix NFTs of Chrono Trigger?
Oh no.
I know it would suck so bad, but I would probably actually buy one.
But you know what? I feel like that's the point. That's the point of no return. I feel like once they touch that, it is such a. And here's the reason why I think Chrono Trigger is just a cut above Final Fantasy VII in all of our hearts.
Yeah.
They have NFT for FF7, kind of like with those figures.
That was you're right.
They
That
did.
was the
they
cherry
did.
they already popped.
Yeah, they did.
basically, to borrow a very crude phrase.
Yeah, but if they
That's
had if they'd
wow.
done that with Chrono Trigger, I
No.
don't think we would have the same
Wow.
reaction. Honestly,
You're
it
right.
would be
That is
way more violent.
wow,
Like,
they were faster to desecrate the corpse of Final Fantasy VII than Chrono Trigger.
it's true though. It's true. Yeah, and
That
but
blows my
here's the
mind.
here's the other thing. Like, just before anyone thinks like Capcom must be doing pretty bad, I think if anything, the
Oh, they're
truth
doing
is the
great.
opposite. They're doing amazing as a company. They're
Yeah.
making record sales with Monster Hunter and Resident Evil, like and Street Fighter. Like, they're doing
Yeah.
fantastic.
You know,
They know
I used
exactly what their
to
fans want, and
I
they're giving
used
it
to
to them.
begrudge Monster Hunter's success a little bit because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, now they're just gonna make nothing but Monster Hunter games, you know,
Right.
which you and I, we don't really love them. We don't hate them, but
Yeah.
it's just not
Mhm.
for us.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, if Capcom's like doing all right and they're thinking about branching out now, I'm like, go,
Yes.
Monster Hunter, go.
Yeah,
Go!
fun
Yeah!
out Breath of Fire. Monster Hunter, don't get mad at Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is gonna give them the cash flow
Yes,
to
that they
fun
need to
things
export.
like Breath of Fire.
Exactly. Part of me
Yeah.
I wish that part of me wishes that they would like go back and make Breath of Fire, and then that would be, you know, what drives the company forward. But I know better at this point. RPGs are niche. We are existing as the hobbies of you know of Japanese dudes from 20 years ago.
Look,
yeah.
Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is all. I mean, they're bringing it here, so look, there's hope. There's definitely hope.
Yeah,
If they're willing to bring that,
dude.
Breath
would
of Fire
be-
is not off the. It's not as far fetched as we would imagine. Let's just say that.
My God. I hope you're right.
All right.
But don't get my hopes up like that.
Hype
man.
responsibly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't have my Hype Responsibly shirt on, but I do have my Hit Point shirt on, which I can tell you is still available for anybody who would like a Hit Point
Mhm.
shirt to show how much you love our podcast. You can get it at shop.superderekRPGs.com.
It's super
And,
comfy.
Oh my
It's
God.
so comfy. I love the shirt. It's so comfortable.
This ain't Gildan brand, guys. It's like, it's not American Apparel, but it's pretty close. It's
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to, speaking of buying things, should we move on to the final section of merch drops?
Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I was posing for the camera. Merch drops. Yeah, we could totally
I was
talk
like, where
about
did Derek go? Yeah. Okay. You want to switch
merch.
over to my camera? Well, I mean, not camera. My
Yeah, your screen.
real quick.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that
Oh.
oh my gosh.
What do you think What do you think this is? What do you think I'm about to tell you?
Pins?
Based on
Wait, what's the
this-
color? Oh, is this a kink shop?
It's not, but you can always use it that way.
Could be.
Anyways, let me
Could
speak
be.
to all the non-freaks in the room. Hello, non-freaks. I've been to freak parties. They're crazy. So actually, Paw Sonify, which is a super cute name. I didn't even know that they exist, but they are a company that sells like pets related items that ties into like, these like different animes and games, and they're official licensed items too. So if you're a Persona fan and you're also a pet lover, you can get yourself a Phantom Thieves collar, as you can see here with this pupper
Oh my gosh, that is
and this pupper
adorable.
and this cat, which the cat totally hates.
Oh my god, the cat is into it.
The cat's like, I will kill you later.
That is exactly the look. That cat is about to murder that cameraman. Can you zoom in a little bit? I need to see this a little better. That cat is doing the dramatic gopher, that ba, ba, ba.
I am displeased.
Human, you are lucky I allow you to live.
You have 2 seconds to get this off me. But let's go to the pupper who doesn't seem to mind. Wow, what a
Okay.
gorgeous pup. That was
Yeah.
a beautiful dog. Oh my
Mhm.
god. But yeah, so you can get if you're a Persona fan, like you could get these like leashes and whatnot, and then you can buy these individual charms and they'll engrave it for free. So and by for free I mean it's already tagged onto the price tag, I'm sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So but basically you can get these engraved with your dog's name. So
Oh,
you know,
sorry.
oh, cat.
The
Yes.
cat
Yes.
is saying
Yes.
it's saying to itself right now, your death will be swift and you will never see it coming.
Oh no. I hate every part of that. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. Also, you get 10% on your next order, apparently. So there you go. Yeah. So check
oh my god,
that
that's
out.
so cool.
Yeah, no, I saw that today and I was like, oh, I have to tell you guys about it. Because I know that we've got some pet lovers here and we've also got some
I'm
Persona
one.
fans. So if you
I'm
happen to be both,
yeah. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
thinking like I got a couple of dogs who might need some collars, and I mean,
Uh,
one of them is named Turbo. I named him after the dog from Terranigma, so yeah,
yeah.
I wouldn't
Well,
put this past me.
in that case, I will leave that link in the description so that you can go and browse along and see if that's something that you want to do. Now, for the last set of merch drops, I bring your attention to the new Papa Parade figure for, get this, her name is now Seraphina. I think we've talked about this before, right? So Legend of
so.
Mana had the male and female, like, protagonists that you can pick, but they're, like, nameless, right?
Sure.
But because of the anime, which is Legend of Mana, the Teardrop Crystal, they gave her a name because she's like a different character. They can't just call her like a protagonist and call the other one the protagonist. So Seraphina, if you are a fan of the Legend of Mana series and you've always wanted a Legend of Mana figure, because those were not a thing back then, this is probably your one and only chance. I'll be very honest with you. I don't think they'll
Ooh.
ever make another figure for Legend of Mana. Like it just doesn't have that kind of staying power, and also the price tag is reasonable. It's like $36, non-including shipping. Shipping's like maybe like another $8 or so. So yeah, but the quality is really good. Just believe me. So yeah. So if you're a fan, definitely check that out. Of course, I'll be remiss if I don't show you the male protagonist, whose name is now Shiro.
Oh,
So yeah. So here's the character in all of his glory, and
That's
then we have the
pretty cool.
female protag. Yeah. So
that's
definitely
pretty
check that out.
rad.
Yeah. Now, if you want to get both of them and maybe potentially have them, actually October 2023. Yeah, and potentially have them both shipped to you at the same time, you could try to go to Amiami, which is another shop that I recommend. Big Bad Toys has it. I think Crunchyroll Store has it. Tokyo Otaku Mo has it. So what is whatever poison tickles your fancy. There are multiple ways to get these figures. So if you are interested and you're just not sure where to get these things, happy to help. Just reach out in the comments and I will let you know what I think makes sense for your particular area. If you live in Canada, my answer might be a little different. If you live in the States, my answer may be a little different. But yeah, we can definitely talk about it if you need some help getting these. But I know there are lots of Trials of Mana Legend of Mana
Yeah.
fans out there. So just want to throw that out there.
While we're still on the topic of merch, I wanted to throw out a thank you to you, Baku, for showing me that there would be a Valimar Gunpla that I could acquire.
You got it, right?
I did. I ordered my own Valimar. It's a what do they call it? It's not a Figma figure, but it is.
It's Modoroid.
Modoroid.
Modoroid? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Moderoid.
Yeah. It's like I've heard of like an Android, but not a Modoroid. But I'm guessing
It's a
that
new line of things that they worked on since I think like 4 years ago. Or so.
yeah. So it's kind of
3,
different.
4
But
years ago.
I asked around on Twitter, and some people were able to help me find a location where I was able to still acquire it. So it is shipping from elsewhere, from Tokyo Otaku Mode. So that is being delivered at some point, I hope. It's going to take a few weeks, but ended up spending like close to $100. But my hope is that maybe I'll do a live stream of doing some assembly, maybe some
Ooh.
I mean, it's not just assembly because I mean you will have to clip stuff out and put it together, but I'm thinking about also doing a little bit of a paint job to it to maybe make it.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking battle worn Valimar.
Oh.
Some with a little bit of battle damage would be pretty dang sweet. So
You gonna take a Dremel tool at it and just like, kind of fire a little bit and then paint some
I'm
like
thinking
rust on
more
it?
like with the paint side specifically, rather than doing any
Okay.
physical changes. I feel like
Okay.
it would hurt my soul a little bit too much if I messed up and really damaged him. So
Man, okay, so I used to do this with like, and this is why I don't build like Gundam models anymore because I get way
Yeah.
too involved. I can't just like piece it together and put some stickers and call it a day. Like I'm
Yeah.
just going the whole night. But there are some videos where people show you like how to like just do like minor physical damages on it and then paint over the rust. It just looks so
Nice.
good. I'm not saying that's what you should do, because
Send
it
me
really
some of
does
your-
hurt.
Send me some
Yeah.
of your recommendations. I've recently been watching a lot of another dude who
Mhm.
is Studson Studio. He does a
Mhm.
little bit with Gundam, Gunpla, but really what he does is a lot of like figures, or not figures, but some figures, but models of
Mhm.
like locations and buildings and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And he does it all with garbage. It is
Garbage?
wild. Yeah, Studson Studio is such a cool dude. Anyways, he's inspired me actually to take on a project of my own,
Mhm.
which is to
Can
actually
you
do.
talk about it? Are you
So I'm
gonna-
taking this Nerf gun. Here, I'll switch to this scene here. So I'm taking this Nerf gun right now, and I'm turning this into Olivier's gun, which I feel like this is a pretty good like base for the change. But it's got a lot of work to be done to it, but it's a good bones.
Oh, that's what you were doing the other day.
On Twitch. Yeah, I was doing
Yeah,
a little bit of
I was
tracing.
like, watching you. I was like, what are you doing?
I was
You're,
doing
like,
a little
making
bit of-
props.
I was
Like,
doing
what?
a little bit of tracing so that I could make some 3D models that I could then print out on a 3D printer for some of like the really bespoke stuff. But I'm
Mhm.
also going to be working on making like, I'm going to be like kit bashing this thing into a more like closer to reality, like orbital gun from Olivier, which,
Makes
oh man,
sense.
it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. And I think I'm going to make a video about it. I don't know if it's going to be able to fall under Trails Month though, or Kiseki Month. I'm hoping, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yes, allergies still hitting me. I'm so sorry. I know it's gross. I feel gross.
Oh, don't worry about it, Baku, man. Like, dude, I just feel bad for you, dude, that you're having to be in front of 147 people with allergies.
There were more people earlier.
Baku, I really appreciate you, dude,
Oh, man.
for putting yourself out there like that.
It's all good. I appreciate all the people who came by to see us tonight, man.
Give Baku a like, everybody, for being a better man than I would be. I would have called off.
I couldn't, man. There were just too many things we had to talk about. We had
I
to talk
know.
about JRPG.
I know, man. Jeez. All right. So I think that covers it for merch drops for now, right?
Yes, that covers basically all the content that we have for today. So we're
Okay.
ready for that.
We're ready for
last
the
piece.
God. And wow, have we got a few things to talk about here. We got
Yeah,
some
I saw a
discussion.
couple that flew in.
So
Quite a few.
as we normally do, we have not been ignoring super chats as they've been rolling in, everybody, but we try to save them for the end so we can have one big kind of way to thank y'all. So Bring Back Fluffy Dogs says that they
Hey.
appreciated that intro a lot. Specifically, I saw that roll in about the time that I said RPG.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bring Back Fluffy Dogs. Much appreciated. Good to see you again.
Yep.
We got Still Alive, who says, food for thought. Are the Etrian Odyssey games considered JRPGs or Western RPGs? Because they are Western style RPGs that are developed in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so the first person dungeon crawler genre of games is what I would probably refer to them first and foremost as first person dungeon crawler.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to try to like do some sort of taxonomy here, I would probably have classified them as I would probably has classified them as some sort of like marriage between the two. You know, it feel like the art style feels very much in the Japanese style RPG approach, but it's definitely taking a very like early computer RPG style. You know, the first person dungeon crawlers from back in those days, talking about games like God, was it Wizardry that
hmm
had that? So yeah, it's taxonomically tough to put it
hmm
into a specific box, which kind of comes at the whole thing of what we were talking about earlier. Don't put games in boxes, you know? I mean, try your like at best, try to describe games using the RPG genres that we have available, but don't try to like stuff them in, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's not an either or, it's a and this and that, you know. It's a cafeteria, you know. It's a all you can eat buffet of different styles, mix and match and make them your own. And in this case, I think that's probably the best approach for trying to classify Etrian Odyssey. Is it's a lot of different stuff, you know. I don't know, what do you
Yeah.
think, Baku?
I've always said that for me, it is the JRPG could just mean two things, and they're equally valid. It's
Hmm.
either it is a game that's made in Japan by a Japanese studio, which carries certain connotations because these are the people who has certain cultures and they bring their cultural ideas into their games, which is the reason why there is like a certain feel to them, right? The art, for example, the aesthetics, uh, or in made in the tradition of JRPGs. So like in what is it called? What is that game that we like absolutely like a
Chained
chained echo?
Echoes. Oh
Yeah,
God,
I
yeah.
keep going back to Chained Echo just because
Uh-huh.
like bright and early in their
Oh
Steam in
yeah.
their own Steam page, they're like, oh, this is a JRPG.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not a Japan studio, it's not made by a Japanese person. Yeah, well, still in JRPG. Like,
Yeah.
sure, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucid, like I'm pretty loose with the term. Like, so I feel like, hey, if you feel like this could qualify as a JRPG, go for it.
You know,
And
while
and
we're on
that,
the topic of
yeah.
like of genres and this whole navel gazing exercise, let
hmm
me just throw out there that at the end of the day, it's all about communication, right?
hmm
Like it doesn't really like sure there might be some sort of educational approach, some sort of academic approach to like classifying RPGs
hmm
down the line. But we're not doing that. Nobody is. Nobody
hmm
really is seriously like trying to taxonomically come up with a binomial nomenclature for each type of you know video game out there. But what
hmm
we are trying to do is just talk to one another and quickly convey ideas of what to expect when talking about games. That's what genres are. It's just
hmm
shorthand. And shorthand by definition is going to leave out a lot of nuance because it's
hmm
shorthand, not longhand.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, just as long as it's efficient, that's what it's all about. That's the name of the game, is just
Yeah.
being as efficient with your words to convey complex ideas as quickly as possible. You know, don't
Yeah.
yeah, don't feel like you got to stuff RPGs in a
That's a
box.
very elegant way to put it. I
Oh,
don't think I could have worded it better.
oh, thank you very
Um,
much.
yeah, I'd say like so you know how like we classified like animals, right?
Yeah.
Like we have like kingdom and phylum, species and whatnot. And so a lot of people would be like, well, what's this species? What is that species? You know, honestly, nature does not like to be that clear cut,
Oh
like how
no.
people want it to be. Same thing with these kind of like artistic endeavors, like
Oh, for
music.
sure.
Yeah, you can call that like what like acid rock or like you can come up all these terms to describe it. But you know, the more specific you get, the less useful they are because that might just apply to like two songs,
It's true.
right? It's like, is that useful? But it's too broad. That it's just like, oh, it's just blues. What
Yeah.
kind? Like maybe I like specific ones, right? Then it might not be as useful.
I only like
So
J blues.
yeah, J blues. I mean, J pop is a thing, right?
Yeah.
So, um, but I think that's the thing is too broad is useless. Too narrow is useless,
Yeah.
right?
It's all about finding that happy medium.
to communicate with people, like you said, right? So to
Mhm.
go along with your saying, that's what it is. So yeah.
From Matthew Phillips, we got another one here. It says, speaking of Square Enix, Chrono Break when?
God, Chrono Break.
By the way,
Quick.
okay, so quick. I don't mean to do the actually, but I actually want to do it just a quick reminder that the trademark that Square Enix had registered for Chrono Break was spelt Brake, not Break. A lot of people thought it was Break, but no, it's Chrono Break, like your brakes on a car,
Oh no.
which is especially weird, isn't it?
That
but-
they realized that and then they backed off on it.
Maybe that's why it went under. I don't know. Maybe they're working on the BREAK trademark to open up at some point. But
Or this is the first NFT game that they're going to push out.
oh my God, Baku, don't make me throw you off a cliff.
Okay, so get this right. Get this. Okay, get this. This is going to be an adventure that spans the ages from like 10,000 BCE to like the future, right?
Mhm.
And every single day within those years are NFTs, and you can own your own very
Oh
special
my-
day. And oh my God, don't give them ideas. What a great way to raise fun, am I right?
Baku, I can't believe you. God, I do hope that. Gosh, at this point, actually, what do you think? Do you hope that Square Enix revises or revitalizes the Chrono series, or do you hope they stay away for now?
I hope that they would go back to it when they're ready. Don't force it.
Yeah.
It's just like you already know how I feel about Chrono Cross, which is not favorable. And part of it is because I feel like they didn't know what exactly they wanted to do. They kind of want to make a new game, but also they want to connect to the old game. So, and in the end, they made this mismatch thing that it works if you believe it works, but it truly doesn't.
Tell you what,
And
if
yeah.
they can reassemble the dream team, I'll be on board.
Oh, okay.
If they can reassemble the dream team, all
Yeah.
of it, including Sakaguchi.
And here's the other thing that I worry about, like a new Chrono game, is that because it's so revered, they're going to put a lot of pressure on it.
And it's gonna fail because everybody will
yeah.
expect way too much.
Well, that, and I feel like they probably won't take any real risk. They'll just end up playing really safe, and then because of that, it would be a little lackluster, and it's just a lot of things that can go wrong. So I don't know.
It could be
Like, do
really
I-
tough, but my God, if they could somehow pull it off, man, that'd be pretty rad.
Sakaguchi's never going back to Square. By the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that's to say that is not gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Probably never gonna happen, but you know.
Yep.
We got a message here from Bring Back Flippy Dogs again, who says brain replacement fund initiated. Love you both. Well,
Thank you so much.
Because I was talking about how my brain don't work good. And they left another one here for Baku. It's your tissue fund.
I read that. And I chuckled. I'm like, yep, speaking of tissue, I need to go grab some, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
And Flippy Dogs actually left a few here. So here's another.
Oh.
They say Square doesn't want their Final Fantasy franchise to be held to the strict fan expectations. I can imagine that they are so tired of us all whining for the return to turn-based combat.
Yes. Okay. So let me say this, right? Like someone pointed this out and it was like partially correct, but partially not. But that's just to tell you, even just the nuance of battle system can get complicated. Someone said, newsflash, Final Fantasy hasn't been turn-based since Final Fantasy 4, which
10.
Yeah, so that's what I was like. It's technically right, but technically wrong. But also, like, there's some nuance to it. It's like you've gone from true turn-based to time activation menu battles, right? In terms of like in turns.
Yeah.
So it's not like true turn based where like you are literally taking a turn and no one else can do anything unless that turn is taken.
Right.
But it kind of goes into spectrum of like true turn based to true like
Action.
real time action.
Yeah.
It's not just like one or the other, right? It's a little bit more nuanced than that. But there are a lot of people who are like, oh, we need to go back to turn based. I'm like, so you want to go back to like Final Fantasy 2? Is that what you want?
10.
Because that's or Final Fantasy 10. I mean, but most of Final Fantasy aren't even that,
Oh, I know.
right? So you know, like if you want like most of Final Fantasy is active time, right? Like there are more games that active time than are not, right?
Yeah.
So if you want, if you're saying like what is traditional Final Fantasy, then you go with the one with the most amount of like battle system that's based on it. That's active time bar.
Yeah.
Some variation thereof, right? So that's what you want. So no, not exactly. No, it could be 10. But then we also have action RPG. We have action RPG like Final Fantasy 15, right? So I don't know, man. It's just Final Fantasy 12, whatever the heck you want to call that.
Yeah. You know what? Let
Right.
me just say, thank God we have Dragon Quest to hold us down, because
Always turn based
Yeah.
every time.
It's- you know, the more Final Fantasy changes, the more Dragon Quest stays the same, and it's nice to have that comfort food to return to, you know. But yeah, I imagine having fans whining about, you know, its departure from turn-based, and trust me, I'm one of them, but that would get so annoying after a while. I can totally feel that.
Yeah.
All right, we got another one here from Fluffy Dogs that says, I would buy you both a copy of 1 through 4 if Capcom pulls that out of their hat.
Oh, talking about Breath of Fire.
Yeah, man.
Oh my! Thank you so
Oh,
much for that.
that would be- I hope they do. That would be
We'll hold you to it if they ever do release
Yeah.
some kind of collection.
yeah, if they
I'm
announce it, we'll
certainly
come
hoping
shake
they
you
are.
down.
I'm hoping they will do it regardless of regardless if you actually get us anything. I just hope that they will allow more ways to play games that
Yeah, that's the
no
ultimate
longer
goal.
accessible. That's all.
Honestly, if they did nothing but make them available with widescreen support, I would be very pleased. Like,
Yeah.
don't touch them otherwise. They really don't need it. Just widescreen, call it good.
Yeah, please.
And I
you
mean by
don't-
that, like, fill in the sides. Don't just
don't-
like stretch it out.
Oh yeah, they don't even need to do much to it. It's just what bothers me so much. It's like we're asking for the bare minimum.
I know.
As long as it plays well and doesn't glitch up and you fill out the space and it's HD,
Mm.
I think that's pretty good already. I
Like-
mean, you can certainly do more, but
Yeah. Like, and when
that's all
we
you
say
need to
HD,
do.
when we say HD, I mean, put it on a console that puts out, 720p or higher. Legitimately, I don't care if it's like 4K or I don't want the graphics to be upscaled. I don't want them doing that like filter where it smushes everything together and like makes everything diagonals or whatever. I don't want the 2x size stuff. Just give me that like just regular old pixels. Pure pixels, man.
Yeah, pure pixels. I'm seeing a lot of conversations about the whole turn basing. You see, it's nuanced,
I
right? I
know.
told you.
Mhm.
Okay, also, just to throw in wrench all the people are talking right now, there is the regular active time bar command mode,
Uh-huh.
which is to say that time does not wait while you're choosing
So
command.
there's active and wait. Yeah.
And then there's wait mode where your time bar fills and no one gets to do anything, not even the enemies.
That's
And
how I play.
You can move around the menu, and as soon as you pick a thing, the time continues again.
Yeah,
Like, what do
I
you
love
call
it.
that? Again, very nuanced. Just like it's not one or the other. Believe me, we've looked into this extensively
Ah,
to
I
form
love
an
it.
opinion. It's not that easy.
Yep.
But that's okay. We don't need to always like define it. Just,
But I
this is
do
what
hope.
it is. You know,
I do
like-
hope though that
it's
Square
okay.
Enix does throw us a bone every once in a while.
Mhm.
Us people who would prefer the menu based combat. That would be nice. Anyways, we got another one It says Grandia got the HD treatment, so why not Breath of Fire 1 through 4? Well, Grandia got an HD treatment from Gung Ho Games, who did not create those games. They just kind of bought the rights to it, and then also Lunar series, but then they continued to like kind of forget the fact that they own those. I don't know what
Oh, Turbo.
hey. I don't know what Gung Ho is doing at this point, but I hope they're doing something because they're sitting on a lot of really good IPs that are just going to waste at this point.
Man, I don't know what they're doing. Like the fact that they did Grandia gave a lot of fans a lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're willing to revisit something that people asked for it, sure, but definitely not like a large amount of people. By in the grand scheme of things, a lot of RPG fans, but even then, it's not like all RPG fans are asking for a Grandia HD, but yet they did it.
Yeah.
And it did well. Like, it sold. And fans were just rejoicing it all over.
Yeah.
Luna could be next.
And I mean, Capcom is doing the Mega Man Battle Network collection even now. Like it was probably a flip of a coin if they were doing that or Breath of Fire. Only difference is, I guess, that Mega Man is still somewhat of an active IP. So hopefully,
and remember, what is it? Monster Hunter Story is turn based. They have they're actively creating turn based RPGs.
So it's a possibility.
You know what I'm saying?
And I hope that it does come through. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then we got one from Peter Rebel who says, "Do it. Blue hair is the best." I think that was for you, Baku. Blue hair.
No,
Blue
I think that was for you.
Okay,
so that we can Patreon, and it's too late for me. I can't blue hair. I have to face clans all the time. This is just not happening. Yeah. But you, sir, Mr. Derek,
my
gosh, hope for you.
It would be. I think Amy has once told me that she's my wife, by the way. If anybody doesn't know, my wife has told me that my complexion is not suited for blue hair. But you know what? Just for y'all,
wrong.
Just for y'all, I will. Gosh, should I commit to this?
What are you about to say? God. Something like if you hit like 100K subscriber, you will dye your hair blue?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I was just gonna do it. Honestly, I was gonna say I'll just dye my hair blue, but I think that there's some logistics that are keeping that from actually being feasible when I have a full-time job.
Okay. How about this? You don't dye your hair, but you get one of those like temporary hair dye that you can wash off. Completely off.
Yeah. And then my hair is just green for a while afterwards. I can do that.
Sure.
Tell you what, when I'm done with the current video project that I'm doing for my real world job, when I'm done with that, then yeah, I'll do it. The temporary
job. Do it for a stream or two. It's fine.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. It has been a pleasure to stream for you all. If you enjoyed today's episode, and if you appreciate Baku and his willingness to come forward despite his allergies plaguing him, then please be sure to give this video a like or subscribe. I mean, it really does make a huge help. It makes a huge difference. And on whatever platform it is that you're currently enjoying the show on, whether that be through Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you are. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I guess we'll see you all in the next one. But Baku, in the meantime, have you got any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave with the people?
Come hang out with Derek and myself and watch us play Like a Dragon. Which one? You'll have to find out.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Goodbye.